Oh, so you can see me. Hello there. My name is Whooper. Well, that's what they call me anyway on the internet. Don't ask how I know what the internet is. If you're here, you must be looking for Miss Chise and Mr. Elias. Well, unfortunately, they've went out with Ruth for the day. Well, Silver Lady's here, but I don't think she'll take to your kind very well. Well, if you can wait in there, though a word of warning, some of the neighbors around here can be a little bit prickly. They sometimes use strong language that may not be suitable for all audiences, so you might want to cover the little one's ears if they're there. There's also the chance that they like to give out spoilers for old tales and some new tales. Mostly newer tales that are animated from that place Shise's from. Don't ask how I know that. I just do as a spirit. And finally, anything that the neighbors say is their opinion and does not reflect anything that Chise or Elias say. It looks like the snow is coming. Or a bunch of woolly bugs. I really don't know what the difference is between them. But they're a thing that are white and comes from the sky. So why don't you stay a while and listen to the neighbor's tale? They're going to tell you the story of the Ancient Magus Bride.
私はここ
Hello everyone, and welcome to Dub Talk, the show where a group of neighbors get together, try to kill some British children. Help out mages and stuff, and not do anything devious and the like, and review a recent dub announcement, or review a dub that has come out on home video, Blu-ray, that likes, or streaming on Netflix these days. My name is Megan, and with me I have the 3 other best fairies I could find. I have Jet.
Believe you can do it so reserve magic, Chise.
Fuck! Damn it! Shit! Why is that making me laugh? We have the Fairy of Beards, Amonduul.
Chise, can I offer you a pomegranate?
And we have the greatest fairy of animation, dressed in his perfect little green dress and ready to murder Wendy. It's Noah Clue.
Didn't you ever wonder where your mom and dad learned it all? You're a wizard, Chise. And we just lost Megan.
You killed the host, Noah. I hope you're proud.
Okay, I think we made all the references we possibly could. Oh wait, no, we didn't make a Lord of the Rings reference.
Not yet.
Fly! Fly, you fools!
I mean,
No, because I'm imagining Noah or Hagrid now in the tiny Tinkerbell dress, telling Harry Potter he's a wizard. Thank you, Noah Clue, for putting that image into my head.
I mean, if you want these tights, they're all yours, but they're kind of hard to get out of the crack there, so might have to put them in the wash first.
By the way, those were regifted and worn by one Spaceman Hardy at one point.
I gotta get off.
Anyway, while Noah is having an existential crisis, tonight if you haven't guessed by all of the references, tonight we are obviously talking about the greatest 2017 anime, Handshakers.
Woo!
We are finally giving I've been told by my producer, who is currently not existing, and actually driving home from Maine to Boston, that we are not talking about Handshakers.
Aww.
No, children. We are time to get on the hype train to talk about the Ancient Magus Bride, the 2017 fall anime from Wit Studios, based off the original manga by Kore Yamazaki. To give a quick plot summary, Chise Hatori is a 15-year-old orphan. She has no relatives, means, or hopes. She then proceeds to sell herself into slavery, where she is bought by a strange mage with a bestial skull for a head named Elias Ainsworth. Together they will go and Chise will learn magic and to become more worthy of herself, while Elias learns how to people. This anime also sparked a bunch of people suddenly being into what we call a bone daddy, and also gave residents of the Funimation Discord a new overlord, an axolotl spirit that we have gone on to name Whooper. But tonight we're not here to talk about the animation or the shitty-ass second opening. Jesus Christ, it looks like a goddamn AMV that a 12-year-old made. No, we're here to talk about the dub. And while normally most anime reviews that we do don't come with predictions, I've been predicting the cast of this since last March. Because I am horrible and have no life. So, we're gonna get on with it, starting with writer and director. Does anybody have predictions?
Go ahead, Noah.
Front, I should say I did not make any predictions because, unlike the very devoted fanboys and fangirls out there, was not reading this manga and had no idea who any of the characters were going into this. However, I did have a very lovely poster of the show that I got from one of the voice actresses at Anime Fest, so thank you very much for that.
Okay,
That's right, you got to go in the line.
I did make predictions. I mean, I haven't read the manga in, like, a really long time, so I mostly just, like, made my predictions based off who the seiyus were and, like, character designs. But as far as director went, I said Sunny Straight mostly because I figured this was going to be, like, a really big dub for Funimation, so I figured... I figured I'd probably give it to one of their bigger directors, and... Obviously, Sunny Straight is no stranger to fantasy dubs. He did Escaflowne, and that turned out really great, so I figured he'd do a similar deal here. And then for script, I had down Gateway Glass for some reason. I think it was because I heard something about them possibly doing a dub together, and I had her here. I don't know why exactly that happened, but yeah.
That would be interesting, because that would mean that Sunny Straight would have directed both the biggest hit of fall 2016 and fall 2017, because he directed Yuri on Ice too, didn't he?
Yes,
Yeah,
he did.
that strange little independent project nobody heard of and did not cause a massive salt war on the internet.
I love how, just as a side note to everyone, Sneebs are good buddies.
Okay. No, you know what the reality is? The anime awards for 2017 just started up today. Like, they just announced what the nominees
Yeah, that's
are.
why I did it.
Yeah, oh, you know what? That is true.
So that is perfect timing.
To which perfect timing. What the fuck, Crunchyroll? Fafnir, really? Fucking really?
Wait, hold on. We need to save salt for the rest of this cast. Save some for later.
I have no salt tonight. Amon, any predictions from you?
I didn't have predictions for director and script. I did have predictions for the cast, and I think I lost them when I moved, because I cannot find them. So, sorry, folks.
Oh, no! Okay,
Whoops.
also... It's okay, Amon. By the way, Noah, you got your poster signed by Atsumi Tanzaki, the voice of Chise.
That is correct. I had forgotten who it was, but thank you for
It's okay.
It's kind of sad
It's
that
okay.
you were... Did you get a signature from her? 'Cause I
No!
know that, well, I was getting that.
Yes, because Roots or Amon gave it to me because I was in the line for meeting
Sayo Yamamoto.
Mitsuru Kubo and Seo Yamamoto.
That's
which
right.
was totally worth even if Hardy screwed me out of Raisin Canes.
This full disclaimer, this cast is not an endorsement of Anime Fest, although all of you listeners really should attend this year. It's in the middle of August. Here's the link down here. Book a ticket now.
Book your tickets now. Go to Anime Fest. They're the fucking best. Anyway, my predictions for directors, I had 3 because I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? So my first prediction was Clifford Chapin, since, you know, he handled New Game, and that came out pretty well from what I understand.
And as we all know, New Game and Ancient Magus Bride are like, twin series to each other.
Just
totally.
twins. Totally. Just good times all around. Nothing bad happens. Good day, sir.
They do both have a cat in it. That's about it.
I've got me Oh, no, we're not starting that yet. No. And my second prediction was Chris George, because goddammit, Chris George deserves to be on a good anime. And not doing year-long projects. No! Fuck Discord, why? I need that! Anyway, back to what I was saying. And then my last picks was Felicia Angio, because she hasn't really done anything in a while, and I was kind of like waiting for her to do something. Quickly, my writers, Bonnie Quinkebeard because I'm lazy, team Monica and Josh because hey, fuck it, they do good work together. And then my last prediction was Emily Neves because hey, Emily Neves did Ghostic and that came out pretty well from what I understand. But I'm only minorly wrong for once. So, our director... I can't believe this fucking happened.
Really?
Actually, yeah, I'm actually very... I was like, wait, what? The exact phone call was Roots was like, hey, Megan, are you ready for your monkey paw to curl? Because I was like, please let this go to a good director and have Bonnie Quinkebeard as the writer, which she is, one of the writers. So the director's Kyle Phillips. And the writers, like I said, are Bonnie Quinkebeard. And the other one, because this wasn't announced with the cast release, this came out later that we found through Twitter, thanks to Kyle, who has been really good about updating the cast, is Jamie Markey. Kyle Phillips, you'll know him for directing series such as Overlord, A Centaur's Life, and Izetta the Last Witch. Bonnie Quinkebeard has written more than anything at Funimation and basically runs their entire writing department. I'm just kidding, we all know that's John Bergmeyer's job. She has written for series such as Noragami, Death Parade, and Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, and Jamie Markey has written for series such as Orange, Terror in Resonance, and Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Did you have to bring up that last one? We're trying to get...
Yes, I did! Yes, I fucking did!
We're trying to keep this calm tonight.
Did John Bergmeyer pay you for that little plug?
No, he did not.
I can just see him paying you off for that.
I wish I could meet John Bergmeyer again. I've met him only once, and it was great. I was a very young little weeb.
You bonded over hockey, didn't you?
No, that was me and Jeremy Inman, thank you.
Wrong writer, I'm sorry.
Anyway, so, starting off, I will go in the same order. Jet, you're first.
Man, I kind of want to go first, but okay. All right.
Noah can go first, and you can go last if you want.
Like I said when we were setting up the Sky Attack, I'm probably going to be the voice of dissent here, so I figured I probably should go first.
That's okay. I'll go ahead if you want to say this
go ahead.
Later.
Yeah, Noah, go.
Okay. Well, obviously I came prepared by saying that this show is really good, and the Japanese was really good. So to go off of that, this dub should of course be really good. It's really good, guys. To put on the directing really quickly, it warms my heart. The variety of characters that they got to fill the whole cast. I didn't really have any qualms with the directing going into this. Through episode to episode, it covers kind of a variety of settings and emotions. There's a lot of human pathos and psychology being thrown out about how all these characters deal with their heartaches, because these are some damaged individuals. What I had a little more about a problem with was actually the writing. Not because they got anything wrong, they didn't really misinterpret anything, nothing was lost in translation. I guess it's just that, like, you've seen this poster, like, look over there at that poster on the screen in front of you. This is a high-concept, fantasy, magical, almost mythological sort of storyline. So I was hoping that the English writing would have the characters speak more of a flowery, poetic sort of way when... Not in, like, back-to-back dialogue, but in instances where they're having long thoughts, they're kind of describing their inner emotions, like Chisei's hang-ups, or Elias's hang-ups, or the storyline about what happened to Elias when he, did the thing with Lyndon. Don't do that, people. Don't do what he did. So, but I didn't quite get that. It's very normal, very standard, very serviceable writing. Like I said, nothing particularly wrong with it. I was just hoping for something a little more Shakespearean, I guess.
I'm actually gonna disagree, because as somebody who has also read basically the entire manga, too, the show's actual dialogue is not like Shakespearean at all.
Right.
Like, the manga's dialogue is not like that at all, and I actually think that would have ruined the show to me, because I think the biggest core thing about the show is that it has all of this crazy fantasy shit going on, but it has such a human core to it. I've known people, like, especially on my Facebook and my personal life, who they're like into anime and stuff, but like hearing a lot of them like talk about how the Ancient Magus Bride really is cathartic to them. For a lot of people I know who go through really bad depression and really bad anxiety, I think that the English dub really walks the line of doing it very tastefully and not going out of whack. Because if this show took any liberties, like, with it at all, it would fuck it up so fast. Like, to which I really do need to applaud Bonnie and especially Jamie. Because to me, there was no transition where one stopped writing and the other one picks up. And for two writers that are almost completely different ends of the spectrum, that's saying something. Because face it, 2017 was the year that Jamie Markey had pitchforks going for her. Whether it be rightfully so, or completely off the wall. And I know Jet kind of cringed, like, did you have to bring up Dragon Maid? Yeah, I did. Just to show that for as many Dragon Maid moments that she may have, whether you agree or disagree on her logic with it, she does do really good drama pieces. Like Orange and like Terror and Resonance. I also really want to give a shout out to Kyle, who really has changed my opinion about him as a director over the course of the year. Because Dance with Devils was okay. Izetta, you can watch the episode and tell how many of us were completely out of it with Izetta, and how many of us had like really big flaws with Izetta's directing and casting. Dragon Maid was another show that we were all really decisive over. So I've got to give him credit where credit is due. He made this dub really enjoyable for me.
Oh, well.
Amon or Jet?
Let's see. I enjoyed it a lot as well. I've been, how do I put this? I like you. I like the kind of dialogue choices they're making for the show. I would never characterized Ancient Magus Bride as a urban fantasy, but a lot of it kind of reminds me of that style of writing where there is a lot of this fantastical stuff going on around it, but it also is very, very grounded. And that's something I liked a lot in the original manga, and that's something I thought they captured here very well, where you almost feel like you're watching a show about normal people, except, one of them's a skeleton and one of them's a ghost dog, among other things. And I think between the writing and the direction, they capture that very, very well. It, there's a part of me that is not quite worried, but was, maybe concerned of, maybe they'll, at least in the translation from the Japanese, they'll maintain a certain over-the-topness that may have not really been appropriate for the material, and I was very happy to see that, that wasn't in the Japanese, and that wasn't something they ended up adding in when translating into English. It feels very tonally correct for the kind of story this is. So I've been very happy with it.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
Okay, right. So as far as the script goes, I don't really have, a whole ton to say here. Bonnie Clean-Beard is generally very good at keeping her translations faithful, and it's pretty much the same deal here. I mean, although I appreciate some of the extra prose, and while I didn't really know Jimmy Marchi was also on this because I didn't read past the initial cast list, I'm also pretty impressed with how she's doing here too, and yeah, this is definitely among her better dub scripts. Okay, now as far as the direction goes, I'll be honest and saying that I haven't really been the biggest fan of Kyle Phillips as a director up until this point. I mean, granted, I haven't seen nearly as much of his work as you guys have, but what I have seen kind of left me feeling disappointed, looking at you, Izetta. But what I see from him, this is definitely his best work. All the casting decisions here are really strong, and there's enough variety here that nothing comes off as, too safe. And I also kind of appreciate that the general direction of the dub is to make, all the magical inhabitants sound, as wizard or as mythical as you kind of expect from all these ancient creatures. And, it does a lot to kind of help them make them sound really distinct. Having said all that, though, I feel like the actual voice direction itself is kind of a little lacking compared to what I wanted exactly. I like how all the characters sound, but there were a few times where I felt like the actors weren't really being pushed hard enough, and it kind of left me wanting a little bit more. I guess I kind of wanted to see them give 100, where it kind of felt like most of the time I was getting an 85, if that makes any kind of sense.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't agree, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, the best comparison I could probably give here is how I felt about the One Punch Man dub's direction. Basically, it's solid, it does everything it needs to, which would normally be good enough for me to not actively complain about. But when we're getting material this strong, my brain is kind of geared to expect something stronger, and I was kind of hoping this was going to be up here with the likes of some of Funimation's best dubs, and it's not quite up there. I mean, this isn't bad by any means, and it's a perfectly solid dub, but I guess it wasn't quite what I wanted, so I'm a little disappointed in the direction. But again...
I feel like
okay,
I feel like you feel about this how like I feel about Junie Tyson, where I don't think it's that good.
that's it.
But you fucking love the shit out of the Junie Tyson dub.
I mean, I wouldn't say I was. I mean, I wasn't like super low with the dub. I was kind of like, yeah, this was a lot more impressive than I was expecting it to be for like a middle of the road show.
So with the Magus Bride being like really high expectations, like all of us were like expecting it to be like the most perfect thing of all 2017 going into it. Is it possible that it just could not meet that expectation?
Yeah, basically it's like the exact way I thought about the One Punch Man dub, where like I set my expectations really high, and what I got was like, this is good, but it's not like, oh my god, which is what I really wanted.
That's a fair enough comparison. I mean, especially someone like you who watches a lot of, Chinese cartoons, there's going to be a threshold of expectations that, is serviceable to have. So,
Except for Jet actually did watch the Chinese cartoon last season, and he wishes it got a dub instead of King's Game. Evil or Die or something.
Yes, yeah. Okay,
what was it called? Like
that was a Chinese.
What was it?
No,
Yes, that was a Chinese cartoon, and it had the most bonkers that you can imagine. It was great.
Like, even more bonkers than King's Game, like, this girl is on fire and having a completely normal conversation bonkers.
Yes, and it's somehow even more bonkers than that. Like, the last minute of the show was like, wait, what? Why?
Dang it, now I want to finish it now, because I only got one episode into Evil or Live.
It's like, I saw, like, Evil or Live, I think, Jiju had the thing, it's like, where he was talking about Junie Tyson, like, baking an edge cake. And he's like, you made it. Oh, damn it. It's a Mirai Nikki. And he just pulls a cake with, like, Yuno's face photoshopped over it.
Yeah.
So, speaking of this series.
Yeah, speaking of this series. No, but I completely understand it. I think I also had really high expectations, too. But I appreciate a lot of the casting decisions in this show that... I'll talk about it in final thoughts that this may be one of the ballsier Funimation dubs in certain places. But I'll talk about that in the context of what it meant for last season. But are we all good to move on to our first pair?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. As just one name I want to throw out there as someone who needs a lot of recognition is Nathaniel Harrison, who was the mix engineer on this series. And the reason I say that is because... this is the first season where I was watching a show with adequate headphones. Like, I actually got really good headphones to watch shows with. And in one particular scene, I'm not going to say which one it was, but one of the characters shows up. The audio, like, its strings are sounding up, and it shook the headphones, and it gave ambiance to the character's presence, so it made that character scarier as they walked onto the screen. So whoever was doing the sound mixing on this, damn good job, man. You done damn good job, Nathaniel.
Thank you to the audio engineer and the mix engineer. I can pull them up really quickly on ANN. So the ADR engineer is Jeremy Woods, and the mix engineer is Nathaniel Harrison. Both of you gentlemen, great job. Always respect your ADR engineer.
I can just see him in the back room eating Cheetos like, what, people actually recognize us by name? Woohoo! We're moving up in the world.
Good.
By the way, it's not that big. Me and Amon have been in one of those rooms.
They are very tiny. also,
Sup, Neil?
And credit to you both. There's a reason ANN reviews still have that audio quality rating at the bottom. Things used to be very bad. And we don't have that anymore, but ooh.
Yeah, as two people who have been stuck in an audio engineering booth, it is a very tiny place. Moving on, speaking of things that are not tiny, Redcurrant.
Wow, that was not the transition I thought you were going for.
I mean, I was going to do something classier, but then I pulled an Andrew and talked about titties.
Join us,
remember,
Megan. Join us in the titty bar.
Remember, everybody, kink shame your classy Spartan today. So, Redcurrant, a Lehenan-snide vampire who lives in the garden of an older man named Joel Garland. The two of them meet, Chisei, in about episode 9. In which Joel is an old widower with a rose garden who writes poems, and Redcurrant is the Lehenan-snide who caught their eyes met once and she kind of fell in love with him, but refuses to feed on him. I have no predictions for these two because I had no idea if this was going to be a review or an impressions episode. And I kind of forgot.
Thank you to our voters out there who requested that this be a review episode, by the way.
So you could all make me wait longer to talk about this. Go fuck yourselves.
Please
I
don't,
kid.
don't actually do what Megan says.
Don't actually do that.
Don't
listen
ever
to
do
me.
what Megan says, ever, please.
You should go eat those Tide Pods.
You know, they're making an Oreo variety now.
God damn it. Does anybody have predictions for these two?
Nope.
Alright, so Redcurrant is played by Morgan Garrett, and Joel Garland is played by Barry Yandel. Morgan Garrett, you will know, is playing my ultimate waifu number 1, Akira Mato, in Tokyo Ghoul Route A, Riko Brenska in Attack on Titan and Attack on Titan Junior High, and everyone's favorite MILF and Cookies, Kurumimi Psyche in The Disastrous Life of Psyche K.
I am so glad that was the selected moment for that episode in the
Oh,
highlight
that
reel.
was it was gonna be nothing else, and you knew it. I knew it.
I mean,
Jet knew it. Amon knew it.
there was like
Okay, no, I didn't know it because I haven't seen that episode or the show, actually. So.
there was like a
Neither have
2%
I.
chance that you would go with something classier from that episode, but only 2%.
no.
Noah, have you met us as a group? You're expecting class?
I did.
We're hornier than Devilman Crybaby.
Okay, no, that's a lie. That is a lie.
That's a
Not
truth.
very
Nobody's
few things
hornier
hornier
than
than
Devilman
Devilman
Crybaby.
Very few things are hornier than Go Nagai. Maybe Osamu Tezuka in his later years.
Anyway,
You know what I'm
Joel
talking
Garland
about.
is. Anyway, Joel Garland is played by Barry Yandel, who is. I literally spelled William wrong in my processor. William T. Spears in Black Butler, the great Zaruba in the Garbo franchise.
Okay, yes, I'm pretty sure Roots is going to come after you now.
Please don't come after me, I'm sorry, Roots. Zaruba in the Garo franchise, and Bon Clay in One Piece. Let's just make this quick because technically their last episode isn't coming out until this is basically going up. I'm ready for Morgan and Barry Yandel to fucking wreck me.
Yeah, I don't
They
really
were-
have too many thoughts other than that, too.
They're actually really great. Morgan Garrett, I like, because Morgan Garrett kind of gets typecasted as all these really sexy women. And a lot of the times it's played completely straight where they're basically giant sluts. I haven't watched First Girlfriend is a Gal, but I'm going to assume she's a slut in that show.
Well,
Her character, not her.
it's the. Yeah, thanks for specifying that. But no, none of the characters are sluts in that show. They're just kinda promiscuous.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, no, and I also really like that they went with Barry Yandel as Joel and not the safe choice of, like, R. Bruce Elliott or Kent Williams. He was not what I was expecting, because usually it's like, oh great, old guy, somebody call Kent. They, like, throw a dart at the board and there's, like, a bunch of old guy names, and this time it hit Barry and he's like, haha, money!
That did kind of surprise me too. But the character himself of Joel isn't really like world weary like a lot of Kent William or R. Bruce Elliott characters are. He's got a lot more pep to him. Like I even wrote in my notes that he's got like a jovial older sound to him, and he's less craggly than an old guy. Like he doesn't have that old man crack to his voice, which I thought was refreshing.
Yeah. I mean, like, usually when I think of Barry Yandel, I think of Yoki from Fullmetal Alchemist, so him doing a jovial old man, like, fits very well.
Amon?
No, I enjoy them both quite a bit. I don't know, it was a nice little, like, in context, it was a nice, like, refreshing little bit of the show, and I thought they played the scene very well. It was very cute, which is a weird thing to apply to a scenario where a vampire fairy is hanging around some old dude, but you know. It's nice.
And she's dressed in like a nightie.
She's what was it? There are two characters in here who can be summed up to an extent as what knockers, and she's the lesser of the two.
Yeah,
Lesser.
Just look at the chat picture, guys. Just look at the chat picture.
Okay, yeah.
The chat picture is just her little red currant on Chisei's red currant hair.
Okay, so it was a really cute scene about her being seen right about an old man before kissing Chisei.
Yeah.
Don't talk. Let me kiss you.
Just there are no words. I'll see you in a week.
I do like that we did have a couple of like sultrier sounding women in the show, and we'll get to them in a bit. But I like that Morgan seemed to don a bit of a southern drawl for this character, so that she juxtaposed between being kind of sultry and then being really sentimental. But it was believable with the accent that she gave her. I don't think it was like supposed to be an accent, like a heavy accent. It was just the way she worded her vowels gave it a southern drawl kind of feel to it.
Which is strange because this takes place in jolly old England.
Yeah, I know that, but actually, I'm gonna point out a lot of accents I picked up. Like, it sounded like an accent, but yeah, I understand that it's supposed to be in England. But nobody has a British accent.
Oh yeah. I didn't mention that, but that's like kudos to them for not doing that. I mean, there are instances where I prefer they have British accents for things, but this is a case where it's like, nah, keep it straight. So.
I would actually have said along those lines, if giving them all British accents would have caused subpar performances, trust me, that wouldn't have ended well.
No.
And I would be in jail.
And let us not forget that the alternative being getting it dubbed in Britain would have been a bad idea.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. Wakfu never happened.
What? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. So are we all good to move on?
Yep.
Yes.
Do this.
All right, who's ready to traumatize Jamal? It's time to go down to the cat shed baby. Cat shed baby. All right, so we're going to talk about...
Where's my Windex?
That was a very good French Schneider, Megan. I applaud you.
Well, you see a big sign on the road. It says 15 miles to the cat.
Oh, damn.
It gets better.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it gets better. So
better.
there is Molly, a talking cat that is the king of all cats, despite being a girl cat, because fuck your patriarchy. Matthew, a man from the past who was so enamored with his wife that he would do anything to save her, didn't go well. And there is Mina, the said wife, and I literally just put the actress's name down, I am dumb. Mina, his sickly wife, who ends up turning into a puddle of mud.
As you do, happens every week.
Well, you see, Matthew...
Okay, yeah, that's why I gotta be careful with those dudes with the devil, man. They never end well.
Yes.
Speak
Matthew.
the devil and he will appear.
That's the episode title, haha.
That's a different episode
anyway.
title, but yeah, it's still an episode of the show. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Matthew, he's got me an axe. It cuts up about 20, so hurry up and get that alchemist some money.
I should just be prepared to have my head in my hands for this whole segment, shouldn't I?
Probably.
Oh well.
You can all thank Hardy for asking me to put that in here. I put that on the Funimation Discord a couple of nights ago, and Andrew's only reaction is, I'm laughing, but I am so disappointed that I am laughing at this. Good lordy, I'm telling Mom. Anyway, any predictions for Molly, Matthew, or Mina?
Nope.
Nope.
Alright, so Molly...
I predict that Molly will be voiced by Carrie Elway. And you know why.
King of all cats. I totally went over this before! He's not the king of cats, it's Tim Curry!
I understand that, but Tim Curry is very busy nowadays, and I don't think Carrie Elway's doing anything.
Actually, no, I saw him doing a commercial where it was the whole gag was his, Princess Bride thing. But anyway, Molly, the king of the cats, is played by Melanie Mason. Matthew is played by John Bergmeyer, and Mina is played by Jennifer Alex. Melanie Mason is known, you can know her as Shimura in Kodacha, Meiko Murasako in Shiki, and Marl in Fairy Tail, which, by the way, yes, the king of all cats is played by Happy's mom. Therefore, she is the only person who ever made me cry watching Fairy Tail. Matthew is played by John Bergmeyer. You should know him as Tien in some hick little series called Dragon Ball Z. Shigure Soma in Fruits Basket, and Ebisu in Noragami Argoto. Jennifer Alex you will know as characters such as Constance in Little Witch Academia, Tabitha in The Familiar of Zero, and Fate Tessarosa in Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha. Thoughts?
Yay, Constance finally gets to speak.
She still ends up as a puddle of mud.
Sad.
So I liked how Melody sounded here. I thought I liked how her voice sounded kind of regal. It gave her kitty voice like a very distinct vibe. I thought that was neat. This is another case where I kind of wish the direction was like maybe a little bit stronger. Like I wanted her to sound have a little bit more presence than she actually did. But I really dug the voice.
Did you want to have like a Queen Elizabeth II kind of voice to her?
Kind of, I guess.
Come along, come and catch these mice, because we are most unamused with your status support.
Yeah,
Elias, what's taking you so long? There's a big thing in our lake!
Okay, far as Jennifer goes, I thought she did a good job too with the material. And then John Bergmeyer. John Bergmeyer is a voice who I think we don't hear often enough, and having been rewatching Ryu-Hakuno for the last few days, I really wish we heard a bit more things. Because he just does a really great job here. He does a great job of getting across all of the whole crisis that Matthew's going through. And that whole big breakdown when he realizes his whole deal went south is just that was pretty insane. And he just totally nailed that. I certainly can't say I was expecting that casting choice, but it was definitely a good one. So good on Callum for using it.
Good point. Fair point. Are we doing Jet, me, Amon, then Megan? Is that our order?
I guess.
I guess it's kind of broken because no one was saying anything.
I don't.
All right, Noah, go.
Scripted people. Totally ad-libbed.
All Dub Talk episodes are filmed in front of a live studio audience of my mother's shame.
I prefer the disclaimer, all Dub Talk episodes are filmed live before a filmed studio audience.
Just like The Big Bang Theory. Insert laugh track here.
Speaking of something very funny, John Bergmeyer, as the guy who's gone down to the cat shack, baby. One thing I noticed that I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it seems that for the characters in the show, the more human they are, the more normal their direction and acting is. And then if they're spirits or animals or otherworldly creatures, they're given a less normal sounding voice. And that's kind of the vibe I got off of Melane's performance, because she's got like this almost New England speech pattern to her voice that I think it was supposed to give her kind of a regal voice, like Jet was saying. And I like that. I like she's got that slight crack in her voice that gives her a sense of age a bit more, and it distinguishes her as a very royal kind of cat. So it fits with her performance well. I didn't really have a problem with the direction with it. I thought the content was somber enough as it is that she didn't have to push beyond the way she was directed. Now to contrast that, John and Jennifer are both humans. They are not magical. They have no powers or special skills, or they don't practice magic of any kind. So because of that, I think they were directed to sound like very normal humans. Like Jennifer has a damsel in distress, feminine kind of voice to her, but it doesn't sound otherworldly. And John, interestingly enough, he's got almost a gruff, unrefined voice to him that sounds like a guy who actually does work a manual labor job. And even when he has his big breakdown, he doesn't go cheesy, hammy, which is good because I was afraid that they were gonna make him super hammy. But no, they gave him this almost what a normal person would act like when they've completely broken. It's sort of I've got to go get more. I've got to go get some more. He doesn't go, I've got to go get some more. I'm a broken individual.
Why did he suddenly turn into Beavis and Butthead? Hey, Beavis. Beavis, my wife exploded.
So to give props for that, they're good. They're all good contrasts to the different kinds of characters that we will see in the rest of the series.
Yep.
I agree with a lot of that, actually. Like I was saying earlier, one of the things I appreciate about this dub is that it knows when to stay grounded. I think this is a very good example. Obviously, what goes on is dramatic and heartbreaking, but they never go too big on anything. It never gets too overdramatic. It never gets silly. There's no moment where anyone takes the potato chip and eat it, because that would be very wrong for this scene. And I think everything got played very well.
I'm gonna take this cat and slash it.
Exactly.
I'll take a vial and drink it.
I thought both Jennifer and John played that very well, and I also liked what Melanie was doing with Molly a lot. I thought she brought the appropriate level of regality, and also sounding like a cat, which I realize is weird because cats don't speak English, but hey, I bought it.
No, cats don't dance.
That too.
Not with that attitude.
I've tried, dude. It doesn't work. They don't want. They just fall back on all fours.
There is an entire YouTube playlist of cats dancing. I defy you to say the same thing after you've watched the playlist.
I appreciate that Jet's singing "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now" in the back. I got that, and I appreciate that.
Me and Oliver actually did watch that movie a couple days ago.
Okay, yeah, and now I have this psycho little girl in my mind.
Darla Dimple. Darla Dimple was the realest fucking G that the 90s forget. She tried to drown a bunch of fucking animals. Darla Dimple will fuck your shit up.
Because, of course, if she's going to kill you, she's going to do it big and loud.
Which, thankfully, a lot of these performances for this specific arc were not.
Bring it all full circle. I love you, Megan.
Thanks, Noah. You set me up. It was a team effort. But no, especially with Molly, she really got... Melanie's performance as that character really struck the line of regal and also kind of motherly. Because she did see herself, the character themselves saw themselves as the mother of a little girl. And she was also very old compared to the other cats. I think they said she was on her 8th life. And she was very willing to throw her life away to save this town. But the biggest shout outs to me of this has to go to John and Jennifer. Because Jennifer played Mina really well. And especially the part where she finds the shed and she kind of realizes that he's doing all these fucked up things. And then you get to John Bergmeyer, who fucking traumatized people. We kind of dunked on him at the beginning of the segment, but Jamal got really freaked out by this, guys. He was upset. And he came to the chat and he's like, I can't watch that episode again. And I said, why? And he's like, John Bergmeyer scared the shit out of me.
Wow.
And that speaks to something when this character is in 2 episodes. And there's only scary for 20 minutes of one of them. And I really think Noah hit the nail on the head is that when he breaks down after his wife literally explodes in front of him into a pile of bloody goo. And his reaction is very subdued, but it makes it 10 times creepier than any over-the-topness would have done to it. That scene would have been completely lost when he goes out and he sees,
Tim.
Their household cat, Tim.
Come here, Tim.
And his reaction is come here, Tim. And we're gonna help bring Mina back.
Come play with us, Tim. Come play with us.
And then Matthew learns that cats are the realest G's and don't mess with the 3-6 cat Fia, and gets murdered by cats. So I really appreciate the direction that Kyle had all of these characters go through, and I really do also agree with Jet that John Bergmeyer needs to be in more shit. Besides writing and being the head writer, he's a fantastic actor, and I think I don't think I've watched something where I haven't enjoyed him in. And then for Jennifer Alex, I hope this means that she comes back in more Funimation stuff, because she was great too. So, are we all good to go?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are we leaving the cat shack?
Yes.
Sadly.
The knife comment really got you, didn't it? No, the axe comment. I've got an axe up about 20.
Okay, no.
You heard it in the exact tune of it.
Full disclosure, no kittens were harmed in making up this podcast.
Yes, no, I love my cats. I would never hurt my Shinya or my Luna. So time to move on to something a little more joyous. Titania and her Titanias.
Okay. Now, before we even talk, we need to talk about how that scene lasted 12 seconds.
Yeah, and that was the most realist pair of anime titties I've ever seen. It was the most. Come on.
I mean,
come on.
We salute you, Wit. We really do, but
the animation budget. This is why we have a shitty opening.
The first one was great. Okay, it was good enough that it
song
sucked up
for
the
the
goodness
first
out of the
one.
second one.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was good enough and had a good song at least.
The first one is good, but in the sense that it's like 90% song, 10% animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Titania, clearly we needed to put the effort on Titania's. Her sugar plum fairies.
All hail Brit Titania.
The Brit Tit Empire. Anyway, you also have her husband, Oberon, and their attendant, Spriggan. I had predictions for Titania and Oberon.
I only had predictions for Oberon.
Amon?
I don't remember who I thought might play these characters.
Oh, that's right. And Noah doesn't have any. So, do your prediction for Oberon.
Okay, I of course went with our Lord and Savior John Havercorn, because why not?
So did I. I went with our Lord and Savior Todd Habercorn as well as one of my picks for Oberon. I had my other one. I have two other ones, but one of them is a long shot, and I'll explain why. Because it's a pair of long shots. My other pick for Oberon was Chuck Huber. My picks for Titania were originally Elizabeth Maxwell or Annabelle Thorne. And I also have in captions, and I will explain this story when we reveal who plays her. But I had two long shot predictions. And originally, I actually had Oberon as my director before we learned something. And that is this. My long shot picks for Titania and Oberon were Rachel Robinson and Chris Bevins. Because originally, before we learned he was moving to LA, they were moving to LA together. Chris Bevins was my pick to direct the show.
Okay.
But because they moved, I could no longer do it, but I could keep them as casting predictions. However, we are all wrong, and oh boy, here we go. I had one other prediction for Titania, and it was in captions. I fucking swear if it's Colleen, I'm kicking someone's ass. Surprise, I'm kicking someone's ass.
Well,
Colleen Quickenbeard plays Titania. Please, ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Just insert the Japanese Elias laugh here. Oberon is Joel McDonald, and Spriggan is Chris Ryan. Colleen Quickenbeard is Yuko in Triple X Holic. Momo Yazarozu in My Hero Academia, and Ursa Scarlet in Fairy Tail, because her nickname is Titania, everybody! Gag me with a spoon. To be fair, Japan does it too. It's the Japanese Seiyu is also Titania, so everybody went for the low-hanging fruit. Oberon is played, it's Joel McDonald, who you know as Zareth in Fairy Tail, Takumi Fujiwara in Initial D, and Dillandale Albatu in Vision of Escaflowne, and Chris Ryan plays Tadaomi Kurasama in Assassination Classroom, the Dark Ninja in Ninja Slayer from Animation, and Okurakata in Token Rambu Hanamaru. Thoughts?
I mean, okay, so I didn't have too many thoughts on Chris Ryan. I thought he did a good job, but the character was just kind of like there for me. Okay, as far as Joel McDonald goes, I was really impressed by this. Like, it's not the sort of thing you normally expect with him. I'm usually used to him doing more serious characters, so to see him do something so jovial was, like, very surprising.
Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah, like,
Jet, we have to show you. Sometime we have to show you Sekirei. If you want a Joel McDowell role that's not so serious.
No, I mean, I've seen a second right now. It's just been like a very long time, so I don't remember how that sounds.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, like, yeah. So it was really surprising to see him doing something so jovial. Especially since I was watching that in the same year I was doing like the Year of Fairy Tale marathon, so I was mostly hearing him as Zareth, which is kind of funny considering he's playing the King of the Fairies here. Okay.
Ha 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 ha. Just the Japanese, please, editor person, whoever's editing this, please find the clip from, Juke of Japanese Elias laughing, and just put it over that. Just have it as pop up as a GIF in the corner. Ha 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 ha.
Actually, editor person, I'll pay you $5 if you instead put the Mandrake laugh from Dexter's Laboratory instead.
Okay, and then as far as Colleen as Titania goes, I mean, well, what can you say other than it's Colleen? Like, she's good at, like, she's very good at what she does, she's very good at doing, like, very regal characters, and she does a great job of that here. Like, she did a great job of, like, giving the character a lot of presence. So, kind of making her sound like, well, like the Queen. I mean, there was nothing like too out of the box in terms of like how she portrayed it, but again, Colleen is very good at what she does, and I was pretty happy with how that sounded.
Awesome.
Noah or Amon?
Sorry, we have to be given permission. Please let us out of our cage, Megan.
Quick no, rock, scissors, paper.
Okay.
1, 2, 3,
scissors.
go.
Shoot.
Ha! I won.
Damn it. I'm a loser. To quote the Lego Batman movie, I'm a loser at home and a loser at work.
Anyways, I also enjoyed these performances quite a bit. I particularly I liked Colleen. I thought she did a good job being both, sort of regal, I'm queen of the fairies, go away, follower of the invader god, Shu, go get lost in the forest for a bit, and also
get wrecked, Jesus, bitch.
Exactly,
Love that little detail the Japanese put in.
And also just getting exhausted when Oberon shows up and starts behaving like Oberon does. Because I've read a Shakespeare play. They don't get along. One wonders why they're married, really.
I mean, have you seen her?
I mean, yeah. I understand. I understand why he stays with her. I don't understand the other way around.
He's probably got a nice dick.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Women like funny guys.
And also,
you know what? I'm not gonna take that shot.
Come on, be a good person, Megan. Come on, keep your New Year's resolution.
I said my New Year's resolution was to be nice to Andrew for a night. And that has failed. My job is to kink shame that boy.
You are awful at
that.
I'm only good at two things, shit posting and kink shaming. Let me have my thing.
We've got an island for you.
I love Hawaii.
It's full of a black beast monster that will engulf you alive.
Don't kink shame me, Noah. No kidding. Go ahead.
I had a point. Joel McDowell is very funny, I thought. I enjoyed him here. He gives a lot of zip and more zip to Oberon, who's clearly, he's king of the fairies and also kind of an annoying 12-year-old who won't stop. I mean, you can, but, you just get his dogs to attack him, I guess. Yeah.
That's his fetish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I liked them both, and I enjoyed... I thought Chris Ryan was... I know Spriggan doesn't have a lot of range to him because he's a rock, and he behaves like a rock, but I enjoyed him while he was on screen. He did well.
Come on, Amon, give us a few bars of Bob Seger's Like a Rock.
No, I don't like that Bob Seger song.
Oh, ouch.
No, I like Bob Seger, just, night moves. Something that hasn't been in a Chevy commercial for 20 years,
I was going to say, the Chevy commercial probably spoiled it for everyone.
Little bit.
Like a rock.
Speaking of rocks, I also thought Chris Ryan did good for what he had. I wrote that he had vocal gravel, which is good for his particular character. It's it's nice and low, but it's not craggly. It's just it's just kind of low registered. But it's a good quality to have. So I guess the best thing we can say is that if someone was legitimately bad enough for us to say they should have been recast or directed differently, then we will have words to say, but I don't. So, good job on Chris. As for Joel, he was actually less perverted than the animation would have you believe. It was more like, kind of like you said, Amon, being a perpetual 12-year-old who won't be quiet. Like, I got the sense of eternal immaturity off of him more than I did pervertedness. So,
yeah, it wasn't like innocent is not the word I'd use, but it never kind of came off as like skeevy annoyance,
He's like the 12-year-old that just discovered what the internet is.
No, because nowadays the internet who discovers what the 12-year-old who discovers what the internet is going to pretend like they know what swear words are when they actually don't. So it was nice that Joel got the right direction on that by not making him skeevy sounding. It's just perpetual adolescence, which is kind of what you get from a Shakespearean fairy. They're not going to mature, they're not going to grow up, but they're not perverted exactly. Same thing with Titania.
I want to be a Toys R Us
I actually
kid.
wrote in my notes, "Welcome back, Yoko from XXX Holic," because it is
Yuko, yes.
It is exactly the same voice. It's ethereal, and I half expected Titania to start spouting moralistic mentalities about how people lie to hide their true feelings all the time, but it's only going to come back to haunt them. And you should go get me some sake. Like that kind of voice. But
I swear to God, if that would have been Colleen and Todd, I would have lost my goddamn mind.
It could have very well have been if they wanted to go that route, because Colleen does
Triple X Holic K dub when Funimation.
Colleen does very well at this. Again, I have nothing to say about this. This is probably the most archetypal of the roles that of the actors that got cast, but only because we've heard Colleen in so many things in the past. It's just kind of a shame that we only see them in one episode so far. I think you said, Megan, that they're going to show up in another episode coming up soon.
As of the end of episode 14, Oberon showed back up, and the next episode, they're going back to the land of the fairies, so we will be seeing Titania, Oberon, and of course, my actual favorite fucking character in this series, Dr. Shannon.
Okay, so
my wife.
All you people listening to this, continue to watch the show and find out what's got Megan so hot under the collar.
I have a thing for cryptic lesbians.
So it sounds like Britain's got good voice actors being the spirit of Britain, as it were. I think that's what they were supposed to be on the show. Yeah, they're supposed to be the spirit of the country.
Good day. I thought the spirit of the country was literally just Queen Elizabeth II.
No, that's her corgis. That's why she takes care of them.
Those are her patronuses. All the different corgis.
Anyway, nonsense. The spirit of England is Peter Gabriel wearing a silly outfit in 1973. Everyone knows that.
I thought the spirit of England was what's his name who funded Monty Python getting shot out of the cannon at the British Olympics.
That too.
The Monty Python guys just are the spirit of Britain.
I actually read a thing that said what would be the world's worst ending to Game of Thrones, and somebody's like, the cops come arrest them all in Monty Python.
Oh god, I watched the show then.
Wouldn't it be great if they filmed that and just made that a deleted scene on the DVD?
Like how in the It bloopers,
yes.
One of the things is just like,
thank you,
thanks,
see you later,
bye.
Oh shit.
Shit. Somebody explained to me that the ending of Monty Python is a literal cop-out once you think about it.
It is up there with Blazing Saddles in terms of, we have no way to end this movie.
Where are all the white women at? Anyway.
Speaking of
Chris
white
Ryan
women,
is pretty rock solid as Spriggan the Rock Spirit. Titania, Colleen, Noah nailed Colleen.
Whoa! I don't remember that.
Phrasing.
Holy shit. What the hell did you drag me with?
Like Noah, you got something to do.
The second that came out of my mouth, I regretted it.
That is gonna go up there with, it's a stiff performance from the Shimonetta episode again.
I hate you all for that. You are all children. I seriously made a joke about a man having a dick like a horse, and you all lose it at fucking that.
I mean, you're telling me...
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? You're telling me that I was able to get it on with one of the best voice actresses in the business, and I don't even remember a goddamn thing.
I'm never said that! You're putting words in my mouth! Anyway, I think Noah talked very rightfully so about Colleen as Titania. She nailed the role. The second I heard it, I was like, you know what? I'm a little mad for everybody, including Japan, going for the low-hanging fruit. I literally, at Anime Fest, Amon can back me up, Andrew texted me, told me this, my immediate reaction was to lay on the ground, put my arms up in the air, and start screaming. I really also do agree with you guys about Oberon, because Joel McDonald brought that character to life in a way I didn't think was going to be possible, because Oberon Seiyu has a really distinct and very strange voice. His name is Kabe Yamaguchi.
Kabe Yamaguchi, aka the voice of Usopp in One Piece. And also...
Yeah, that guy has a really strange voice. Yeah, that guy has a really strange voice. So I didn't know how they were going to get the character like that. And it came out really, really well. And I think I like the way that you described him as an eternal 12-year-old. He's an eternal 12-year-old who wants them to have babies, going half blonde. I honestly, because this is coming out after the dubbies, I was so tempted to give him best comedic performance just for that episode. Because that's how much it put a smile on my face. I was so impressed by this, and I cannot wait for him to come back. And please start casting Joe McDonald in more of these eternal 12-year-old roles, because he is so much fun to have in your show. But let's move on to things that are not fun.
What?
Are we all good to move on, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna move on to the land of not fun, the church.
Okay. I thought you were saying Angelica wasn't fun, but never mind.
Angelica, okay, look, I'm gonna kink shame Andrew again, because it's so easy to do. That man has a thing for Angelica.
Have you seen her?
She is kind of hot, so.
So you shut your whore mouth.
Damn it, I had that turned back on me. Turnabout is fair play. Objection. To which, please tell me you've seen that vine of, Phoenix Wright and Edgeworth, where it's Phoenix Wright, the defense is ready. The prosecution, you're a fucking idiot. And it's about the best explanation of Phoenix Wright I can give. So Angelica Varley is a magic crafter. She essentially makes different magical things out of gems and magic, and has a pretty bitchin' familiar named Hugo, who unfortunately we're not going to talk about, but shout out to Alex Moore. Woohoo! And Simon, Callum, is a priest who Elias hates, and is kind of generally the biggest bitch in the whole show. He gets whacked around and disrespected a lot. Amon brought it up, but Titania literally flicks him into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's kind of mean.
I love that. I love that they take they take ancient mythology and religious references and just blend them together to think what would it be like if they actually cross paths with each other?
Be gone, thought.
Isn't there a manga out there where Jesus and Buddha are roommates with each other?
Yes, it's very sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet, and we're never going to get it here because...
Nope.
Yeah.
The mangaka is aware that Christianity is a thing in the United States and does not want to cause that headache.
Even though most people I know in the United States actually love it. And fun fact, my first Anime Boston, the booth that we always buy manga at, Amon, had a sign because the last day of Anime Boston was on Easter Sunday. And it is again this year, which is also April Fool's Day, which freaked me out.
Whoa. Is
they have a sign on their booth, and it's a picture of the Jesus from that show, and it says, Jesus has risen, but our prices are falling. And I will always buy from them because of that. Amon, if you know the name of the booth, please tell me.
It is the booth for Comicopia, which is also a very fine comic book store in Kenmore Square in Boston.
So if you live in Boston, go to Kenmore Square and buy from Comicopia. So I had predictions for Angelica and Simon. Jet, did you also have predictions?
Yes, I did. All right. Let's see. For Angelica, I said Anastasia Munoz. And for Simon, I said Sunny Strait because, like I said before, I assumed Sunny Strait was going to direct this, and he's usually in his dubs somewhere, so I figured he'd be here.
My picks for Simon were Chris Ryan or Mike McFarland. And then I had 3 pictures for Angelica. They were Terry Doty, Michaela Krantz, or Tia Ballard. Because they all have strange ranges. And Angelica is younger than she looks because magic fucks with your aging in this series. We are also both wrong. So, Angelica Varley is played by Janelle Lutz. And Simon Callum is played by Tyler Carson. Tyler Carson has no named roles outside of Simon. Angelica Varley was Luis in Enride. I'm so sorry. Veronica Aniko in Luck and Logic. And this might bring up a sore spot for Jet. She's Kyoka in Fairy Tale.
That character.
Ha ha! Ha ha! Sensible chuckle. Anyway, I also forgot to mention this. Noah would actually also make a really good Oberon cosplayer. Anyway, Noah, you're going first.
Okay, sweet. For the record, it's Oberon, which you would know if you drank Oberon beer. Which I don't, but I just know what it is because I work in retail. But anyways.
Eagle Creek beer, it gets you shit-faced.
I will only drink hard cider. That is the only good beer on earth. Anyways, Angelica's Janelle, or Janelle's Angelica, I should say. Okay, so I said before that a couple of different characters seem to have slight accents to it, or maybe I'm just hearing things where there aren't supposed to be, but I could swear that Janelle had a bit of a Canadian flair in her speaking. Like, she has more of a northern accent. Like, I could be wrong here, but I think in the story she's supposed to be Scottish? Because she actually refers to Chise as a lass at one point. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but anyway.
They never mention her being Scottish in the manga or the anime, so I think that's just general, like, British terminology.
It could be, and like I'm just inferring here, but like we said before, no one is given a distinct British or any European kind of accent. But just based on the way that the English adapted it here, it just sounded like Janelle had more of a northern flair in her speaking pattern, like some vowels just sound like that, which is good because it gives her more of a gruffer sense, I guess. It distinguishes her from some of the other women. But like you said, she's also younger than she actually looks. And I do think that we got a sense of that in her voice because she does sound younger than I think the character design looks like, which is in character for, what her actual age is supposed to be. So I have no problem with Janelle, and I was kind of sorry that we only got to see her in 2 episodes because I think she'd be really fun as a recurring character. The opposite of Simon, who is not a fun character, although he is fun to make fun of, which is, this is an interesting choice that they made with Tyler because of all the characters in the show, he seems to have the most Midwestern accent. Like, he seems to be the one who's the most secular sounding, which is why which is distinguishable for someone who's supposed to work in the church. And it also makes it sound like someone who you're not supposed to trust because I'm listening to the voice, and of all the characters, I just don't trust the guy. Like, I'll trust Oberon. I'll go to a party with him. I'll even trust the one character who we hate, who we're going to talk about a bit. But I just don't trust...
Oh, good God.
I just don't trust Simon. He's just, it's just like, the kind of, like, okay, I know that there is an archetype in both Japanese and Western media that priests and monks and religious figures are only in it for the money or the power. They're not actually as spiritual as as they say they are. And Simon hasn't really done anything wrong yet. He's just kind of a nuisance. But I really just don't trust the guy. So good on you, Tyler, because that's a distinction from all the other characters that I guess gives more of a flair that nobody else has. I don't trust the guy.
Okay, I guess I'll do that. Yeah. So as far as Janelle and Angelica goes, I like the performance. Like, it sounds very kind of like earthly, which is good because that seems like a good match for the character. She seems very kind of down to earth, very relaxed. Like, like she sees a lot of stuff. She has like a good idea of what she is going through, tries to help her out. And then Tyler and Simon. I mean, I enjoyed that too for like the first time I'm really hearing of anything. I think he does a good job of making the characters sound like kind of floppy without going like too over the top. I mean, and it kind of matches the whole kind of like worldly priest thing, where again, like as Noah said, they're not like as religious as they pretend to be, and they're just kind of like down to earth about things. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, they do make a point in the show itself to say that he's both a preacher and a priest, so he's like a mixed variety Christian person. I don't know how that works.
In the words of Hitalia, I don't even know if I'm Catholic or if I'm Protestant anymore.
What to add? No, I enjoyed both of these a lot. I feel like everything's kind of been said. I feel like part of the reason Simon seems off is that Simon's clearly a hip priest. He's like in it with the young kids. Yeah, he probably goes to the disco on weekends, which always comes off as a little shady.
It hasn't been invented yet, Amon.
What are you talking about? This is like clearly set in like the modern day or something. They have cars.
Yeah, but they got steam engines.
Eh.
Steam engines.
I mean, they have planes, like modern planes.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. I forgot about.
That's the other thing I find interesting about this show is it feels like it's set in the past, but occasionally it's like, oh, this is clearly set in like the last 20 to 30 years or something. Okay.
Maybe it just
feels like it's set in the past.
Well, maybe like Japan. Only Japan developed modern technology, and everyone else is still in the past.
Yeah.
No, you remember they still have like old-timey trains in England, right?
Yeah.
Not on national lines. I was about to say, I have read enough Thomas the Tank Engine to know that steam engines were outlawed from the national railways in 1966.
Are we seriously using time? Are we seriously?
Special instances.
Okay, hold on. Hey,
that were only allowed because they were preserved by the National Preservation Society.
Guys,
fuck with
guys. I know what's gonna happen.
I
know exactly what's gonna happen. Someone's going to whip out a cell phone at the end of the show, and everyone's going to burn all the copies of the manga on fire.
I'm sorry, I stole your spotlight. Continue.
I can't believe that Noah, just honest to God, went on a rant about Thomas the fucking train.
Do not mess with my train knowledge, man.
Fine.
Thomas realized he had seen enough today and decided it was time to go home.
One day, I will go to Wales and ride the Tallyland Railway. One day!
Oh my god, are you serious? Did that just really happen?
This is not what we signed
up for. Did you seriously use Thomas the Tank Engine as a fucking source in an argument?
Okay,
are you fucking fine?
I think you should give me a doctor for you.
Where was I?
What the fuck?
Tyler Carson did a very nice job. I don't know if he's had prior acting experience and he's just new to voice acting, but I enjoyed him quite a bit. He was very fun, which feels like that's kind of Simon's character. He's, a reasonably nice man who's a little bit of a chump and gets picked on a little bit, but he doesn't seem to mind because he gets to hassle the skeleton man. So I enjoyed him. And I enjoyed Janelle a lot too. I thought she brought the right sort of tone and personality that Angelica needed as being both, a professional and also a little, sort of teacher and, she's a mom and all that kind of stuff. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Angelica is the closest thing that those of us without an Amazon account got to watching Land of the Lustrous this season.
Go fuck yourself and get out.
Man.
I seriously can't believe you used Thomas the fucking Tank Engine. Okay.
The guy who wrote the original book was like a hardcore railway enthusiast, okay? It's not just the...
Okay, look, I get it. You want to fuck a train.
It could be worse, Megan. He could have brought up Starlight Express.
Oh God, no, keep that out. Andrew Lloyd Webber's not always gonna knock it out of the park, okay?
Anyway.
You say that in some circles, Noah, and that's gonna get your ass tied up and tarred and feathered like you look like something out of Cats.
Okay, back on topic, please, children.
Back on track, unlike a train. Unlike the train that is this episode. I agree with all of what you said, Janelle. I was a little bit apprehensive the first time I saw her. But when she comes back in episode 9 to yell at Chisei about being codependent on Elias, I think she really nailed the mom aspect. Because again, Angelica is a mom despite looking like she's in her like mid-30s, at maybe like late 20s, early 30s at best. And also, Simon has really grown on me. I, again, was apprehensive on him, and this is a really good role for Tyler Carson to get his feet wet on. I wouldn't mind hearing him pop up as minor characters in other shows before working his way up. Janelle did a really... I think Janelle is the stronger out of the two in this pair, but if Tyler's the weakest member of the cast, he's still stronger than I think some other performances this year. I don't really have enough to add on to that, so are we ready to move on?
Yeah, it's time to move on to Team Alchemist.
Let's move on to the not the Full Metal Alchemist, even though Mikhail only has one arm.
This mangaka has been reading a lot of Full Metal Alchemist.
I mean, I don't know, but, so, we have Mikhail Manfred, a one-armed alchemist who is done with Elias's shit. Alice, his apprentice, who clearly is totally not in love with him.
Totally.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
No, I don't like you or anything about that.
Yeah, I don't like you or anything, Baka. And then we have everyone's favorite character to hate, Cartphalis. Originator of the Cat Shack, makes girls into a puddle of mud, and made Elias go from Bone Daddy to I will fuck you up, son, in one episode flat. But for the sake of this, guys, we know the cast announcement has another name attached to it. However, even though there is a clear spoiler warning on this episode, that is one twist I refuse to acknowledge.
And we have agreed not to say it either, so we're in the same camp.
Yeah, so, if the members of the cast can't say Carphalis, we've instructed them to call him by the actor's name, or my nickname for him, Booty Shorts Beelzebub. Because doing business with him is like the devil. I had predictions for all three of these characters.
I think I did too.
I'll go first this time. My predictions for Alice were Alex Moore, Michelle Rojas, or Nicole Endicott. All three of them kind of do can kind of do more masculine girl voices and a little bit older. My Mikhail picks were Marcus Stimmick or Phil Parsons, and my Cartphalis picks were Brandon McGinnis, Derek Snow, or Steven Sanders. Jet, go ahead.
I mean, okay, scratch that. I didn't have one for Redford. I thought I did. For old Carfy here, I said Justin Brider because again, I was kind of looking at the character design, and I know he's like really good at doing effeminate characters. So, alright, so
you should watch. Have you watched Code Realize?
I saw like the first couple of episodes.
I need to watch the episode where he literally yells, "Nobody will love me. I'm trash."
Okay. Oh wait, no, never mind. I did find my Redford prediction. I said Chris Ranger because again, I predicted this is going to be a Sunny Straight Dub. Chris Ranger is always in Sunny Straight Dub somewhere, so why not? Okay, and then for Alice, I said Morgan Berry.
All right, so again, we're all wrong. Renfred is played by Jared Green, Alice is played by Jennifer Green, and Cartphalis is played by Josh Greeley. Jared Green, you'll know him as Tigre in 91 Days, Hitoshi Shinso in My Hero Academia, and Rock in Nanbaka. Jennifer Green, you'll know as Katsuko Momose in Chaos Child, Jessica Bailey in Data Live 2, and Schiller in Tales of Zestiria, The Cross Season 2. Josh Greeley is some low-name actor who nobody has heard of, who has been in budget shows such as...
Keep going.
I don't even think you're doing the beat of that song,
I'm
right?
just making it up.
Yuri Kotsky in Yuri on Ice, Ichigo Hitafumi in Tukenrambu Hanamaru, and Kuranosuke in Princess Jellyfish. So, Amon, you're gonna get to start this time.
Where to start? Well, let's see. Carphalis? Carphalis?
A
You
in
can
there,
just call him
Carpe.
Josh if you
We'll call him
want.
Carpe.
Cardiphalis.
Cardiphil.
Cardi.
He's just terrible. Not performance-wise, just what an awful man. And I think Josh brings a lot of that to the performance. I like Josh. I think he's often excels at these kind of like nasty, very personality-strong characters, and I liked him a lot in here. He was very evil, which is appropriate. And
Cardiphalis did nothing wrong.
that is
Yes, he did. Go fuck
Yes.
yourself.
He did nothing
Noah,
wrong.
Noah.
Everyone
Next
else
thing
did
you're gonna
something
Noah, if you say the words Griffith did nothing wrong, I'm gonna hurl you into Canada.
I'm like one of only 10 people who have never seen anything Berserk related, actually.
Okay, and we're going to fix that someday.
I've seen the bloopers. That counts, right?
Just because he did not personally turn a woman into a pile of goo doesn't mean it's still not his fault. Anyways,
I'm gonna argue, but okay.
Anyways, yes, I enjoyed Josh a lot. He was appropriately nasty for that character. And I also liked what Jared and Jennifer brought to their roles as well. I thought they had a good interplay between those two characters. I enjoyed how they're antagonists. And I thought they sold that well, but I also liked the way that they presented their relationship between the two, where they are, in fact, like, a teacher and an apprentice, and I think you actually got that vibe from them, and you can understand, like, no, they do have an important relationship between each other. Up to and including Alice being like, why are you hanging out with this dude? He's awful. Let's jet, dude. Come on. Like, anywhere else, please. Stop this.
Let's blow this popsicle stand.
Yeah. It was nice.
I'll go next, because I think I'm going to start with Renfred, and I literally put it up wrong on my thing. It's Renfred, not Manfred, but I think I just typed it wrong in my haste.
I think Manfred's what's on ANN, so that might be their problem.
That is correct.
Okay, that's why. Thanks, ANN, for fucking us up again.
You can edit it, right? You can edit ANN.
I'm too lazy to sign in. I believe Jared Green, the second he kind of walked on screen and had a tiny Tia Ballard grasped in his metal glove. Like, he was really good at being threatening, calm, and persuasive all in one scene. And it kind of makes me remember why Jared Green is an actor I enjoy and I wish I heard a lot more of. Jennifer Green is also an actress I'm not as familiar with, comparatively to, like, Josh, or, like, Colleen, or Joel, or hell, even John. I really enjoyed her as Alice. I really can't wait for when this character comes back and she kind of gets solo time away from Renfred. I thought she was really good bouncing off of Chisei in episode 7, where Chisei knocks her the fuck out and ties her up. But to me, the real star of this group is Josh Grille. To say that Josh Grille is not an incredible performer is a lie, and that this performance is very good and very creepy. I know when I watched it in the Japanese, Ayumu Murase, who plays Carphalis in the Japanese, in episode 8, where he shows up to kind of come after Chisei and Ruth, or at that point as he's known, Ulysses. To me, Ayumu Murase's voice bordered on feminine at times. And it was just very otherworldly and very creepy, but it wasn't in the way that you would expect it to be. Because I think when we think of otherworldly, we think of, like, over the top and stuff. But there was something that Josh did, too, that was very similar to Murase's performance, where the line between what we think sounds feminine and masculine becomes very blurred. And it's terrifying when they kind of call him by his title, and he gets angry and starts trying, and he's, like, getting shot in the face, and, like, shot in the arm, and he's just, like, regenerating and coming back. Like, damn, Josh! Damn, son! But that's all. I don't want to take away from what the other guys are gonna say, so I'll pass it on to either Noah or Jet.
Okay, I guess I'll go. Who was Alice's voice actor again?
Who?
Yeah.
Alice? Jennifer Green.
Okay. Okay, so as far as Jared and Jennifer go, I thought they did a pretty good job with the characters so far. I say Redford and Alice have a pretty nice dynamic. I think they're pretty interesting. Although I was kind of a little bit confused with their role because it seemed like they were going to be a little bit more antagonistic, like when they first showed up, and then later on they're just kind of like hanging out in the background. Then I just like, okay. Um, okay, and then as far as Josh Creel goes, this was definitely one of my favorite performances out of the dub so far. Josh Creel can really do no wrong at this point, and I've always been impressed by just how far he can stretch his vocal range. I mean, even so, it's been kind of rare for him to do villain roles up until recently, and it's kind of a shame because he's really very good at them. And he was great at making old Carvey here sound delightfully twisted, and sound just effeminate enough to feel creepy in himself, suddenly, like you guys are saying here. And that was really great because this kid is a creep and a half. I mean, that whole thing with the cast was just kind of eh. So I'm certainly very curious to learn what his deal is, but in the meantime, Josh really was clearly having a lot of fun with this role, and it was definitely one of the dub's biggest highlights, so good on ya.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. I am going to agree with you, Jet, on the lack of Alice and Mikhail being kind of underused in the series, because I also thought they were going to be more of people who were going to fight against. But it was, I suppose it was kind of necessary that they show up to offer a contrast to what the mages do. And this is one of the things I really liked, is that the show takes time to show the difference between what the magus do with magic and what the alchemists do, because the mages seem to be about using nature only as much as they need it without harming it, whereas alchemists just get what they want and get, I'm going to get mine, and then it's going to be, who cares about the consequences of that? So they both, Jennifer and Jared did pretty good on that. They both have this sort of world-weary bitterness to them, like they've kind of given up on any happiness at all. It's kind of a defeatist way to go about it, but I like that sort of that bitterness they've got in their voice. It kind of contrasts the prettier voices from the other male and female characters, and it makes them stand out as like these are a different type of magic users. Because as we all know from watching FMA, alchemists are meant to be miserable human beings who will never get what they want. Mm-hmm. And then we should probably talk about Josh, who you guys all mentioned that he sounded kind of feminine. That's not the word I used, and I'm not sure if I would use it even now to describe him. I wrote that he was foppish, that he had this sort of old stereotype of a fop character who like swirls around his words like this all the time. And he kind of, how exactly did I word it? I said his voice warbles with maliciousness, which is even weirder with him being a child, because as we all know, children are the worst. Like, I'm sorry, Oliver. Children are the absolute worst. They have no limits. They are going to get everyone fucked up, and they're going to be happy about it. They're going to smile and laugh when everything burns to the ground. If you've ever been on Discord, like you know, Megan, you know that that's exactly what they're like. So, Josh, 11 out of 10 on this one. Sounds like he was having way too much fun with this role, and I'm honestly a little sad that he's not in every episode, because I think he could sustain. We could stand a little Josh in every episode.
Oh, trust me, he coming back, and it gonna not be happy.
And he did nothing wrong. He did absolutely nothing wrong. That body was dead.
He gonna do some shit
No
wrong,
one was
though.
using the body. It's a perfectly fine Spider-Woman. There's no one is any harm for him turning into a Spider-Woman.
Kiss of the spider slick.
That was a little creepy. Just a little.
Oh yeah, just suddenly Brittany Lauda is trying to murder you. And, so are we good to move on?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you are all going to get your wish, because I believe in the episode after this, Alice is going to come back. At least after the one that's coming out this week as we're recording in Japan, but you can cut that out, editor. So, time to move on to, honestly, the best set of characters. We're going to the land of dragons. Huzzah! So we have Lindell, who is Elias's kind of old master, kind of sees him as his grandfather, who runs the area of dragons in Iceland. You have Nevin, a old dragon who passes away under the watch of Chisei, and she allows him to take one last flight in his mind. And Rahab, who is Lindell's master and the one who gave Elias his name. I have no predictions for Rahab, but I don't have predictions for Nevin, but I do have predictions for Lindell. Jet, do you have predictions as well?
Yes, I have one for Lindell.
Yes.
Let's see. For Lindell, I said good old Eric Vale.
For Lindell, I had Aaron Roberts or Jason Lebrecht, but I had a last resort. If this person was not Elias, this is who I would want it to be, and that's Christopher Waycamp. We're all wrong, because it is our Lord and Savior, Todd fucking Habercorn, as Lindell. As Nevin, we have Jason Douglas, and as Rahab, we have Lydia McKay. Todd fucking Habercorn, you would know as Natsuo fucking Dragneel in Fairy Tail. Kimihiro Watanuki in Triple X Holic, and Haruka Nanase in Free Eternal Summer. Nevin, Jason Douglas, you will know as Beerus in Dragon Ball Super, Gildarts Clive in Fairy Tail, and this one's for Noah. He's Chio-chan's dad in Azumanga Daioh.
I wish I were a bird. How are you?
Well, he
Fine,
got to fly
thank
in
you.
this show.
It's a great show. You all should watch it.
Lydia McKay is Madame Red in Black Butler, Trisha Elric / Sloth in Full Metal Alchemist, though she does not retain the Sloth title for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And Ultir got a better redemption arc than all of that bitch Minerva ever did from Fairy Tail Milkovich in Fairy Tail. I'll start because Lindell is my favorite character that isn't Dr. Shannon. I was not expecting Todd Habercorn to be this character. This is not a character I would have ever thought he would be, and I think he knocks it out of the park. I appreciate when actors do stuff that I don't expect. And usually Todd Habercorn is really obnoxious, over the top, like, little knuckleheads.
As an actor.
And hams. And as an actor, I say that as an actor, not as a person.
The Todd
Todd's a very
Mafia
nice guy.
is very strong. Don't piss them off.
I do not want to fuck with the 3-6 Haberfur. have a mafia. Anyway, but I really enjoyed it. I really thought he nailed being this, like, very delightful older guy. Like Lindell's like hundreds of years old at this point. I will also appreciate that they did not dub over his singing in episodes 11 or 12. I would have actually fucking killed somebody.
Guys,
this is a broadcast dub.
Like I said, I'm kind of on two minds on that one. Like, personally, it kind of takes me out of it whenever they don't dub songs. So, like,
I'll agree.
yeah.
It wouldn't in this case because Lindell isn't even English. Dubbing it into English would have actually kind of ruined it because he's Icelandic.
Okay. See, if the song wasn't like being sung in Japanese, I might like let it go. But because it's like, yeah, just
it's just like random.
I also appreciate it.
The only way that would make sense is that he's trying to sing it in Chisei's native language because she is canonically herself Japanese. But I don't think that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Also, B. Daisuke Namikawa's voice is angelic, so
it is. You're right.
Yeah.
But I liked Todd as Lindell, who's kind of this crotchety old grandpa, but has a Bishonen voice because, hey, he's pretty. Rahab, Lydia McKay did a really good job stealing a scene for, like, literally, she's not in a lot of episodes, but I think she really stole the show. She was really great bouncing off of a younger Todd who's being a dumbass. But truly the star of this group is Jason Douglas as Nevin. Like, it is, I think they might have digitally distorted his voice.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
If a human can make that noise
God, the performances.
naturally, I'd be terrified.
Fine. But God, it's really touching, and I think he really nails the character, and, like, this is one of those times where, like we said, like, if they would have gone, like, wacky or zany or out there, like, giving him an old man voice that's like, oh, it's my time to go, kids. I'm going up to the sky. But, like, having this, like, deep, earthy sound for a dragon that can't really fly anymore, like, it was heartbreaking. I'm surprised I didn't cry. I know it made a couple of people cry, but damn, Jason, like, if I had never heard of this actor before and only saw him in this, I would be like, why the fuck isn't this guy in more shows? So, but I'm gonna pass it on.
I'm surprised you didn't cry, honestly.
I think it's because I've read the manga and I had seen the anime. Like, I had already seen that scene twice already. I kind of teared up when I saw it in theaters, but I'll talk about that when we get to final thoughts.
Right. Okay, I'll go ahead because I wrote down in describing the English voice for Lyndon, I said, sounds kind of like Todd Habercorn. And that was before I looked up that it was actually Todd, because it's impossible not to tell when it's Todd. It's definitely Todd. But like you said, this is a very unnatural speaking pattern for him, because it's lower pitch, he grumbles a little bit more, and it's kind of, let's say,
It's aged.
Well, it's aged by speaking with longer syllables, and they're more rounded and enunciated. It's almost his narrator voice that he uses for audiobooks more than it is his anime voice that we normally hear, which is refreshing, because we don't normally have him cast in a role like this. So yeah, I was surprised in a role that it's obviously Todd, you can tell it's him, but I appreciate actors who can change their natural speaking patterns to sound slightly different and take on different archetypes than what you normally peg them for. On that note, Lydia Mackey does pretty much her normal shtick, but it's a good shtick. It's exceptionally scholarly, and it's kind-sounding, and it's different than all the other female characters who we hear in this. She's not gruff like Janelle, and she's not world-weary like Alice. You know, she's got like she knows what's going on. She's the smart one who you would turn to at the end of the movie and say, "Can you please fix this?" And she would be able to fix it. But yes, we are definitely going to give Jason Douglas high praise as Nevin. And sadly enough, the voice that was in my head while he was speaking was... Okay, you guys have all seen the movie. You've seen Antichrist, right? Or at the very least, you've seen clips of the movie Antichrist, right?
Are you thinking of the Fox, Noah?
Chaos reigns.
Oh, boy.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I heard his voice. Because, yeah, it was obviously digitally distorted, but it's such a lovely, velvety chocolate sort of low distortion.
Noah's gone from Thomas the Tank Engine to Antichrist in one day.
Natural.
What a world we live in.
Natural transition.
I mean, they both feature children, sort of. Anyways,
I'm not gonna touch that with a 10
please don't.
So, but yeah, those were the parts that I actually felt the writing lived up to the kind of poetic sounding speaking pattern to it. But that makes more sense for someone who is a dragon, and B, hundreds and hundreds of years old, and so he's accrued a wisdom to him, which comes in real handy in trying to help Chise feel better while she's making her wand. Yeah, that moment really got to me, and I like that he gave us probably my favorite little line in the whole show, and that is, the living should never envy the dead. Just beautiful writing right there. A nice, concise way to put down what it is that we should all be living for. All you people out there, don't envy the dead. Go out and live your life. Seize the day. So saith Robin Williams. Rest in peace. Take it away.
Okay,
let's
Amon?
see, what do I got?
Amon, I choose you.
No.
Amon, I choose you.
Anyways, I had a thought. What was it? Yes, I agree. I enjoy these characters a lot. I found that since I tend to associate Tom Habercorn with being like, shonen characters like he is in like, Fairy Tail or Soul Eater, I found that I've come to appreciate it when he does other stuff. He was in Shin Godzilla playing a kind of like relatively like serious straight-laced character, and I enjoyed him a lot in there, and I enjoy him a lot here too. It's nice to see him have a little more range than I think he does when I usually see him and stuff, which tends to be a lot more like, hot-blooded teenagers. And I didn't mind them not translating the song, partially because I know that's a rights problem that's usually a big pain in the butt to deal with anyways. And oddly enough, the transition didn't bother me very much. Like, the singing voice in the Japanese sounded enough like Todd's voice that it actually felt pretty smooth, to be honest. So enjoy that. And also I agree. I want to give a lot of props to who played Nevin. I've lost my
Jason
notes.
Douglas.
Jason Douglas. Yes, he was. He was very good. and particularly just you brought the right presence to it, and especially because he's probably working through a little bit of a digital filter on that performance. He just brings a lot of what is necessary to that role, and not making it sound like goofy or making him sound hey, what's that? Speak up! I'm dying. I'm slowly turning into a tree. You'll have to speak louder. There's none of that, which is good because that would have ruined the scene. So yeah, and I've enjoyed what I heard of Lydia McKay so far. I thought she was fun as Rahab. I have not read far enough in the manga to know if that character shows up again. But I kind of hope they do. She was a lot of fun.
I know where the manga's gonna end for season 2, and oh boy, we are in for shit.
No.
Oh, good.
Okay, that's fun. Alright, okay, so I guess it's gonna go. So as far as Lydia Mackey's Rahab goes, I liked it. I thought it sounded pretty good. I like Lydia Mackey's voice a lot, so I'm always glad to hear her in things, and I hope we see more of Rahab in the future. And like you guys said about Jason Douglas, like he did a really big job here. It's definitely one of my favorite performances in the show. Like I really appreciate how he just had this real presence to his voice. Like it's very powerful, very wizard, but not like too over the top or silly. It's and it's exactly what that scene needed because because it really helps in kind of conveying to Cheesy that, like you were saying before, she needs to be able to live her life to not necessarily want to envy the dead or want to die as she so clearly does. Okay, and then as we get to Todd Habercorn, I'm gonna be the voice of dissent here in saying that I kind of wasn't a fan of this at first. I like Todd Habercorn a lot as an actor, and he has some good range. Okay, but because I've seen a lot more of his varied stuff, because I watch a lot of Cowie dubs, this kind of felt more like him doing a variation of his old man voice, which I'm a little more used to hearing. And it kind of felt more like I was hearing Todd Habercorn than Liddell for the first few episodes. Once he finally did get into character around like episode 9 or 10, I started to dig it, and I really liked how he portrayed Liddell's early season Elias. I just kind of wish he could have gotten into character a little bit sooner, and that one I'm gonna blame more on the direction than him, because I've seen him pull crazier stuff off right off the bat, but I didn't think he did that here. So yeah.
Fair enough. Alright, so are we all good with the Land of Dragons? Is it time to go home?
Yeah, it's time to go home.
Let's raise up like a phoenix and get the hell back to the house. So, when we get back to the house, we're going to be greeted by the Silver Lady, or Silky, and Ruth. The Silver Lady is a maid that lives in the house who does all the work for Elias. We're going to make it really quick about this segment. We're going to mostly be talking about Ruth. Silver Lady hasn't really said anything other than grunts or sighs. And then Ruth is a black dog born from a dog that died at its owner's grave and became a fae. He later becomes Chisei's familiar. I had predictions for both Silky and Ruth. Jet.
Yes, I did. Okay, let's see. For Silky, I said Bryn April, and for Ruth, I said good old Micah Solasad.
I also had Micah Solasad as one of my predictions for Ruth. I did 3 for each because, again, I had a really hard time pegging everything down to, like, 1 or 2 people. My other predictions for Ruth were Damon Mills, because fuck all, Damon Mills can do anything he wants. And Dave Matranga, because Dave Matranga did a really good job as Todoroki last year, and I figured around the same vocal pattern. Silky, I had Sarah Wiedenhoff, Madeline Morris, or Megan Shipman, all females with lighter and more airy voices. We are wrong on all accounts. Silver Lady is played by Rachel Glass, and Ruth is played by Austin Tyndall. Rachel Glass you will know as Elma in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Naru Arisaka in Regalia, The Three Sacred Stars, and Miyabi Ito in Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. Austin Tyndall you'll know as Marco Bolt in Attack on Titan, Kaneki Ken in Tokyo Ghoul, and Karma, I almost called him Kaname, Karma Akabane in Assassin's Classroom.
Okay, wait. So
like-
before we do anything else, we're gonna have to make the joke, obviously. So would you call him Pupper Karma?
Jet, you betrayed me. I thought you were the sable, sensible one. Yes, he's Pupper Karma. He's good boy Karma.
11 out of 10 would Grim again.
Someone needs to send a picture of him to We Rate Dogs and see if they'll actually do it.
Oh, you guys sent us we only rate dogs on here. Please stop sending us demonic bear animals. 12 out of 10.
She rides him like a dog, like a horse at one point too.
I mean, if you get him in like mid-frame, then yeah, it's like a ethereal horse bear hybrid.
Really quick, Rachel Glass, good on you for grunting and making little whispery noises.
Rachel Glass is the perfect actress. She's the only one in this whole cast who has not said a single line wrong, and I think that deserves high praise.
Oh my god. Her backstory is coming in episode 14, and I'll explain after the recording why she has a cast. But Austin Tyndall is not who I expected to be Ruth. And he fucking nails it. I think he gets a lot of Ruth's sadness and dog qualities. There's parts where I think Austin Tyndall had to bark. And I was not expecting Austin Tyndall to bark at things. But Austin Tyndall was a good boy. I'd give him a good 10 out of 10. I think he really nailed the scenes with his backstory and when he confronts Simon at the church. Next human.
Let's see. Yes, I'm sorry, I lost my place in my notes again. I was not expecting that voice from Ruth when I read him in the manga, because he's, a ghost dog who lived in a graveyard. I was expecting something a little, sort of rumbly or coarse, something like that. So I was not expecting someone with Austin Tyndall's vocal quality. But I've been really happy that he has been cast. I think he's been doing a very good job with the character. Like you're saying, I think he nailed a lot of the emotional notes when you were kind of learning his backstory. And kind of, getting to the core of that, which I enjoyed a lot. And then since then, I think he's just done a good job as being both this kind of, someone who, hangs around Chisei and is looking after her, but, not always in, I'm going to fight things away, just in, look, you're stressed out. Take a break. Talk to the nice old man. It's not the end of the world. Which I've been enjoying. This is not a performance I was expecting for this character, and I've been pleasantly surprised the entire time. And I'm sure Silver Lady will get to talk at some point, and we can actually judge that performance. Until then, I don't know, good nonverbal utterances, I guess. Yeah,
it's
sure.
hard to do. Have you ever tried it?
You've heard me on this podcast.
Touche.
So I don't really have too many thoughts on Rachel Glass either. I mean, I guess we'll hear her eventually, but until then, I just kind of whatever. And then as far as Austin Tyndall goes, he wasn't who I had down for this role, but but having heard it, it does kind of seem like one of the things where it's yeah, duh. That's because as you guys were saying before, he really nails it. He gets a lot of the emotional moments across really well. I really like the way he portrayed Ruth's backstory. And then, all those moments where he's just kind of, interacting with Chisei are always very heartfelt and cute, and you can really feel the chemistry between them. I thought that was very nice.
You want me to go next, Megan?
I already went.
Yeah,
okay.
You did.
All right. Like I said, Rachel Glass is the only perfect actress in this whole show who hasn't uttered a single wrong line, and therefore she is the best cast character in the whole show. So good job, Rachel. I hope they paid you well. As for Austin Tyndall, I hadn't read the manga, and I didn't have a prediction going into this, but in looking at the character design, even just looking at the Crunchyroll episode, the in sub, Yeah, I kind of agree. I wasn't expecting an Austin Tyndall-like voice. I was expecting sort of like a grittier, Crispin Freeman-style, low voice grumbling sound. But I don't have a problem with the way Austin Tyndall played it off, because he was directed to have a consistent vocal register where his emotions actually don't get too cheesy or over the top. Like, even in the flashback scenes, like where he's reminiscing about how his friend Isabel had died, he's not lamenting in a sorrowful way that she's not waking up. He's kind of just speaking kind of normally. He's like, she has to wake up. When is she going to wake up? I haven't seen her in a few days. And it's very unorthodox in a way to cast this demon dog. The only way I can describe his speech pattern is that it kind of sounds like Austin is speaking through his teeth. Like, he has almost like this lower gritted sound to it that keeps him from going too high or going too low. I'm not sure I'm like the biggest fan of it or not, but it contrasts all the other characters that we've heard up to this point. So I guess I like that they gave him a voice that would not be confused with anybody else in the cast. So, and he does a good job against Chisei, like you guys said. She's just a very serious sounding character, and I'm glad that he became part of the main cast, because good puppy needs to be petted.
So is it time?
It's time to get to the last group. We were originally going to do them apart, but we're going to do them together to save a little bit of time for everybody, because though a decent chunk of this episode is going to get cut out, because I was laughing about Thomas the goddamn Tank
Did you let
Engine.
it go already? He's not
No!
No!
Look. We got to get this done. We can talk and laugh about
I know!
my hang-ups later if you want to. We can have a whole separate podcast for that. But speaking of...
I'm sorry, every time I keep thinking about it, I keep laughing!
Well, you know what's not funny?
seriously,
You know
look
what's
at
not
this.
funny? Being sold into human slavery. Think of that.
Thank you for transitioning. I'd also like to kink shame Andrew, because he's turned his icon into that new Dragon Ball FighterZ fap fetish thing. Anyway, things that are not fat fetish, or they might be. Elias.
Leave the poor boy alone.
Elias is
Not-
definitely
not-
somebody's fetish. Let's be frank here.
Yeah, Elias is
Speaking of someone who had a Mike Mignola skeleton in his icon for about a year, he's somebody's fetish. Anyways,
there is probably somebody out there like shivering because we've just uncovered their kink is Elias, and they've got like tons of Elias porn.
I'm sure somebody
Anyway,
gets off
Elias
to the,
Ainsworth and
somebody gets off to the Bronze Steakhouse logo, I'm sure.
somebody gets off to the Longhorn Steakhouse logo.
I mean, it looks like the Bronze Steakhouse. I don't know if they have them where you live.
No, I don't even know what the fuck a Bronze Steakhouse
Awesome.
is. Anyway, Elias is the master mage that takes in Chisei. He has a little bit of troubles relating to humans and doesn't always speak the truth. Chisei Hatori is a 15-year-old girl who sold herself into slavery because she had no worth in her life, and her story is about learning how to find worth in herself and her place in the world. However, there is a catch. She is a slayebeggy, which means she unconsciously absorbs and uses magic and draws things to her, meaning that without a solution, she will very much die young. I had predictions for Elias and Chisei. Did anybody else?
Of course I did. Let's see. For Elias, I said David Wold because, of course, it's David Wold. And for Chisei, I kind of wanted it to be somebody who hasn't necessarily had a lead role yet. But someone who I thought could kind of get that whole detached vibe across really well. So I decided to take a gamble on Genie Toronto.
Me and you have been on the same page tonight, man. My predictions for Elias were, my original pick was Chris Waycamp, because I thought he hadn't done a lead role in a show, and then I forgot Laughing Into the Clouds exists.
And now another show. I said,
What?
and now another show that just debuted like a season ago.
We're doing an episode a lot soon, and I'm hosting it. I had Chris Rager or Brandon Potter. I didn't want to... Here's my big thing. I did not want to go the Tatum and Brina route. As much as they are both very fine actors, that was the last thing I wanted. My predictions for Chisei were Afia Yu, Jeannie Torado, or Marissa Lenti. All three I felt could do detached and a little slightly deeper based off of her Seiyu. That's why. However, we are all wrong. We are all very, very wrong. Elias is played by Brian Mathis, and Chisei is played by Danny Chambers. Brian Mathis you will know as Macau in Fairy Tail, Dark Cahol in AM Driver, and Monkey D. Garp in One Piece. Danny Chambers, this is her first lead role. I did go back and find out that she was in a couple of summer broadcast dubs. She was Rei in A Centaur's Life, Celine, and Hina Logic from Luck and Logic. And she also later on was revealed to be Zenko Fujiwara in the Morose Mononokean. Thoughts? Somebody go first, because I want to go last.
Okay, so that we have a good balance, I guess I'll go first. Okay, so as far as Brian Mathis goes, I'll say that out of the main cast, this one was definitely my favorite performance. I haven't really been too familiar with Brian Mathis up to this point. I mean, I know I watched a lot of Fairy Tail, but Macau was just kind of there. But anyway, I was really impressed with just how quickly he got into character here. He did a great job of making Elias sound kind of regal and wise without sounding too theatrical. And I really appreciated how the general tone of his performance kind of has a very dismissive attitude to it that sort of matches Elias's general detachment from human emotions and his inability to understand them. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I think I kind of was expecting something a bit stuffier, like what you'd expect from Chris Salmon or a David Wolf, but this works extremely well, and I can't think of anything in the performance I would really want to change. So, credit to you, Brian Mathis. Hopefully I'll do a better job of recognizing you going forward. And then as far as Danny Chambers goes, I'm a little mixed on that one. I really appreciate the decision by Kyle Phillips to cast someone unknown for such a big role, and she's certainly good here. But I'll be honest and say I haven't been quite completely blown away by it so far. I think she's really great when it comes to Chisei's more introspective moments, and she really captures a lot of her feelings of self-doubt and worthlessness. And I really appreciate that because it can be really tricky to tackle depression in a way that feels believable to audiences because, let's face it, people can get kind of iffy when it comes to depression. However, outside of those moments, she's kind of a little bit more hit or miss for me, and there's times where I really enjoy her take, and then there's other times where I think she sounds maybe a little too high-pitched for what I expect from the character. And so far, I kind of lean a little bit more towards Utsumi Tanazaki's performance, since that kind of sounds a little bit closer to what I was expecting, and I kind of prefer her more soft-spoken, kind of detached from the world around her take on the character, whereas Danny Chambers is more world-weary, but a little bit more engaged with her surroundings. I mean, but all in all, I think it's a very solid performance, and I'm very interested in seeing where she goes going forward. But like I kind of said before, my expectations for this dub were sky high, and I guess this wasn't quite what I expected. But yeah, I think it's good.
Now, my question to you, Jet, is: do you believe that, based on this performance, that Danny has the capacity to one day get up to the expectations that you set for this dub going into it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. For a first impression, this is a very good first impression. I guess I was just kind of beginning to be completely blown away, and I wasn't.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
She pushed you back a little bit, but she didn't blow you off the pier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like how I feel about Fullmetal Alchemist. How I like Vic's Ed, but I always lean a little bit more towards Romy Park's performance. But in the case of that dub, that has a strong cast going all across the board, so that balances itself out.
There's a lot of similarities in that show between this one.
Yep.
Someone also loses an arm in this show.
Okay. Someone please go next.
All right. Okay, I'll jump in. I don't get to be quite as much of a dissenter, but I do think that Brian made this. Maybe it's just my expectation going into this, but I was expecting something a little more otherworldly from his voice. We get a bit of that when we have his freak out transformation, "I will fuck you up" moment in episode 8.
Bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up.
I just want to go back to that scene now and like dub it in with the scene from Tropic Thunder where he's talking on the phone and it's like, you're gonna have to call on the United Nations to stop the scorched earth, motherfucker. I am gonna massacre you. I will fuck you up. I'm gonna go do that when we're done with this. But anyways, Brian Mathis. Of all the actors in the show, he actually sounded like he was trying to be a radio drama actor more than anybody else. Not just because we don't see any lip movements, but because the way that he speaks sounds very similar to actors from the time period where you would listen to radio dramas, where you had to get across a lot of character just based on your voice alone, and it's got an almost stagey atmosphere to it. And I guess that's kind of tied into the fact that he is he doesn't understand human emotions very much, but also the fact that we find out that when he doesn't want to talk about something, he has a tendency to change the topic, and he's trying to distance himself from the past that kind of made him into what he is and try to not remind himself of that. So he's distancing himself, and that kind of comes across in the way that his voice actor portrays it. So I don't have anything wrong with it, really. It's a regal speech pattern. It fits the character as someone who tries to give an air of confidence, but we find out he's got some deep, dark skeletons in his closet. No pun intended.
Boo!
I waited the whole episode to use that line, and I'm going to use it.
At least you're not Andrew and his sugar skull
Would you
daddy.
stop picking on Andrew? The poor boy needs a break and a hug. Speaking of someone who needs a hug, oh my god, Chisei. So, this is a character that starts off kind of weak when I'm talking about Danny Chambers' performance, because when we first meet her, she's obviously supposed to be very timid and like, oh my god, I've been sold into slavery and I don't know who this guy is, and he stripped me down and put me in a bathtub. But I kind of thought that Danny kind of acted more shaky, like her reading in the lines was much more shaky than it was bewildered, I guess. But she gets better by probably about episode 3 is about the time I thought she really hit her stride. And because she doesn't have the typical moe voice that we usually get from this type of character design. She's got much more of an I'm amazed by the world around me and a delicate softness to her voice that is distinct enough from all other English voice actresses that I've heard try this type of role before, that it made this show stand out from all the other ones. Not just in how deep it goes into analyzing her depression or how sad we feel about her, but just Danny's performance is distinct enough. And I do hope that she gets different types of roles, that she doesn't just get typecast as this type of character going forward, because she does have a lot of range that we see when she shifts into more confident character. She gets her wand and she becomes card captor Magus Bride, and then we see, oh my god, she's got a lot more range than just the quiet, reserved person.
Phoenix.
I mean, I think Todd even says at one point that, dang, I thought she was like the quiet, reserved, obedient kind. Looks like she's got a lot more, I forget what the word is, but it's like...
She's a more willful child than I
Thank you,
thought.
willful child. So yeah, so for covering all the range of voice of, I guess, emotions that Chisei goes through, I give high props to Danny. I think she's deserved the praise that she's been getting, because she's been getting a lot of praise for this. And in this case, I don't think that it's overblown. I think it is just the right amount of praise that she's been getting.
Amon, did you go?
No.
Or?
Yeah, no, I liked both of these performances a lot. I don't want to say I found Brian's unexpected per se. I know the voice I had in my head wasn't quite what he ended up doing, but I've enjoyed his performance a lot. I think it goes back to that thing where I enjoy how the show is like grounded in certain ways, even for all its fantastic elements, and for some reason his performance fits into that. I feel like there's this performance could have been a lot more like over the top or Shakespearean or grand in a certain way. And I kind of enjoy the way that even though he is a weird skeleton magician guy, there's a lot of the performance that makes him feel, if not normal, at least like, oh, this is a person I would know in some capacity. Like they're not so otherworldly that they're not relatable anymore. And I enjoy that aspect of his performance, particularly given how important his relationship with getting closer to Chisei and kind of just understanding humans in general is. And I agree. I've been enjoying Danny Chambers' performance. I think I think in particularly in the beginning, she just had to kind of contend with the fact that Chisei's not like thinly written in the beginning, but like we kind of get to know her as time goes on, and she had to work with that. And I think she's been doing a very good job for somebody who has not had a leading role in a show previously, and whose prior credits have been not that big. I've been enjoying both of them a lot, and I think especially for this show, I think that's important because if either of these roles isn't done well, I think the show into the whole kind of falls apart. So I'm glad that they're not just good enough to keep the show going, but I think meet my expectations at least. I'm very happy with both of them.
Alrighty.
Now, Megan, we have to rein you in here. We gotta keep
yeah, I know.
Let's keep it to under an hour. Can we do that?
Okay,
Yes,
we're
I'm
putting
gonna-
those strings on.
You can't tie me down, bitch. I'm free bird. Free bird.
Go
No.
ahead.
No, I genuinely enjoy both actors. Like, Brian Mathis was not what I thought when I first heard the trailer for this. I thought it was Chris Waycamp, honestly. I was like, yay, good, my hopes came true. And then I read the cast list, I'm like, that's not Chris Waycamp, what the fuck? But no, I think that Brian Mathis really gets a lot of aspects to Elias's character. He's very, he's a teacher, but he's not a good teacher because he doesn't open up about himself. There always seems some distance between them. There always reads some, vulnerability without being too vulnerable. And I think the show, he really benefits from having a character that has 0 lip flaps. Very rarely does Elias have lip flaps. There will be some times where his giant mouth opens, and there will be some times where he has a human face. But a lot of the times, Elias isn't a character with flaps. So I think Brian Mathis took full advantage of it. And I think Noah really got somewhere with the radio comment, because Elias is kind of putting on a performance. Whether he knows it or not, I think Brian Mathis took that aspect to his character. And I everything that you guys have said has been really, 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 really well done. And I'm happy they went for an actor who has been around for a while, but maybe isn't your Kent Williams or anything. Because really, honestly, my biggest familiarity with Brian Mathis is when I did Year of Fairy Tale with him as Macau, who is Lindsay Seidel's dad. And there was maybe one scene where he got super, super dramatic, and that's during the Eclipse Gate where he basically dies. Spoiler alert for the Eclipse Gate art of Fairy Tale. I liked Grand Magic Games from that point back. And then for Danny, holy shit. Where do you start with Danny Chambers as Chisei? When I saw the trailer, I thought it was Jill Harris. Because she was, or Jeannie. And then it's okay, cool, now we're gonna have this actress who, this is her first lead role, and you're giving her a character that is really dense, but it's not all revealed at once like most anime do, where this anime takes its time, and I think she's adapted wonderfully to it. One of the things I will point out is that her tone of voice is a lot lighter for Chisei than her Seiyu, and I actually prefer that. As much as I like the Japanese version of Magus Bride, and I think Miss Tanzaki is a great actress, I do feel at times that it feels like Chisei's 18 with her, and not 15. And I think Danny gets to play with that, childish naivete to the world, because Chisei doesn't have a really good worldview of herself because of what she's already been through. Mm-hmm. And I can't stop gushing about this, and I'm really happy that so many people have taken to Danny Chambers and are noticing her talent. And I hope this does lead to her being a good horse in the Funimation stable. And she's already doing another show because Maros Mononoke just came out as of the week of this recording. And I haven't gotten to hear everything in there, and she sounds really good in that too from the brief clips I showed. I watched of it. And that's a show where she's acting off of a lot of pretty established actors like Aaron Dismuke and Jason Lebrecht. So I think Kyle did a really good job picking her to cast and directing her, and I think Danny herself has really taken the reins of Chisei to a place that I really enjoy. And with that, are we good to move on to final thoughts?
Yeah.
Alright, so, I vote eeny, meeny, miny, mo, go Jet.
So I know I sounded pretty negative in that last statement, but again, I want to make this clear that by no means do I think this is a bad dub. There's some very solid performances here, like with Josh Grail and Brian Mathis, and I'm very curious to see what Danny Chambers is capable of going forward. But like I said before, like when we were talking about the director, this was kind of a case where I thought Funimation was going to go like with all their big guns and make something that could stand along the sides of like Fullmetal Alchemist, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Attack on Titan, and Tokyo Ghoul, etc., etc. And I didn't quite get that here. And while I'll probably get over that in time to buy the show on home video, because let's face it, this is a great show. I kind of wanted a little bit more something here, a little bit more than what we ended up getting here. And while this is definitely in the upper half of my favorite 2017 dubs, it's not quite my favorite dub from last year. But still again, it's a very good dub, very much worth your time. Go watch the dub, go see the show. You'll like it.
Oh, yeah. You have to pick the next person, Megan.
Amon.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying this dub a lot. I was really looking forward to this show, and I was hoping for a dub that would be something that I could make it easier to sell to people, because I have friends who enjoy anime, and often having a good English language track is an easier sell for them than having to watch it in Japanese with subtitles. And I've just been really happy all around. I think the performances are very strong. I think the tone has matched the show very well, which I think can sometimes be tricky to pull off, especially something like this, which is, sometimes funny, but sometimes, dramatic and sad and horrifying. I've just been happy all around. I've been really happy with just, the direction and the performances and the writing and everything. It's been a real delight watching it like this. And I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Noah, you're going.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yes.
Let her get the last say, Noah. Go talk.
No, I'm...
Noah, if you don't do it now, I'm going to sick Titania and Oberon's dogs on you.
Okay, so here is my thesis paper that I spent all afternoon writing up. This show was really good.
Give it the good old college try.
I do think that this is going to... It's going to be one of those shows that hits a lot of people more strongly if you go into the series already with some sort of emotional baggage of your own, which I'm sure almost all of us have some emotional baggage, but like this could probably strike some of us a lot more if we came from broken homes or have a similar fear like Chisei does, that we will be abandoned and therefore we are like a people pleaser who always tries to make other people happy so that they never abandon us. And to see that shown in a show like this did really strike a bit of a strong chord, and to have these English voice actors realize that, because they seem to realize that the material itself was strong enough and the emotional sincerity of it was so delicate that they didn't have to ham it up, except for like the fairy characters they're trickster characters, so they're allowed to do that, but everybody else had a very human quality to their acting. This is one of the things that Funimation does really well, is they do drama really well. They take their actors and they make them sound human. They don't sound like cartoons. They sound like real, grounded human beings. So there's not really anything I can look at this dub and say, if I were to go back in time and change it. Like, no, I like it just the way it is. And if you're on the fence about whether or not you should watch this in English or Japanese, the only thing I can say against the English dub is that it is just as good as the Japanese. Like, I know, like, sometimes some people strive to make it better than the original, but in this case, I think it is just as good. It's just as strong, it's just as well acted, and carries just as much emotional resonance with you, regardless of which version of it that you're going to watch. So, there's my thesis statement. Citations listed at the bottom.
Citations include Thomas the Tank Engine.
God damn it.
You opened that door yourself.
I have no regrets. I don't envy the dead. I will live every day as if it were my last, which this one may actually very well be.
I'm sorry, every time I think about that, it fucking
Would you just go to the final thoughts already?
like the I'm a gay thing again.
Stop again.
Sorry. Anyway, back on tack. No, I appreciate the shit out of this dub. I think it's Kyle Phillips' best direction, and I've already heaped loads and loads of praise on actors and stuff, and one of the things I really want to call out is how ballsy the casting in this dub is. Like, as Noah said, this is a dub that is on par with its sub companion, which is great because I can watch either language track and be completely enthralled. I choose to watch the Japanese as well. Most shows I do for Dub Talk, I'll start it in the Japanese, but once the dub gets started, I'll drop it and wait. This is not one of those shows because I love the show too much. But there's something to be said when this is literally one of the biggest anime that came out last season. And I think its cast was ballsier than the other ballsy casting choice that was making Dallas read Asta in Black Clover. But I think this is ballsier because we're still all talking about Magus Bride, even though it's being slightly buried by the crazy shit happening that is Pop Team Epic and Devilman Crybaby existing in one season. Who could have thought that was going to be insane? But we're still talking about Magus Bride. Magus Bride, I believe, was the only Funimation show in ANN's top 5 of the year, their fan vote, that wasn't a sequel series or already had a pre-existing cast. Like, they took a big risk by putting in, okay, here are 2 lead characters. We're going to pick somebody who this is her first lead role, and the other guy we're going to have does mostly, like, secondary characters. So I really appreciate that for their 2 leads. I think the writing is great in that Jamie Markey should be commended for her writing in this show, as well as Bonnie, especially after the stuff that happened last year, whether you agree or disagree with it. I do believe that personally there was a little bit of witch hunting going on. But overall, this is a dub that is really good. I actually think it's one of the best of last year, but people can disagree with me there. But we've just spent the last 2 hours talking about this, so I think we're good from here. So, time to plug yourselves. If you want to follow us, the Dub Talk Podcast, you can follow us here at Dub Talk Podcast on YouTube. You can also follow us at Dub Talk Podcast on Twitter, Tumblr, etc., etc. Going around, Jet, you can start.
Yes, okay, my name is Jet. You can follow me on Twitter at Terrence Infinity or at Divine Nega. I also occasionally do anime reviews on the Fandom Post or on my blog, Anime to Infinity. Trying to do more anime reviews. Hopefully I'll do stuff for stuff like Made in Abyss or One Illustrious soon, so you can look forward to that, I guess.
Noah.
You can follow me on Twitter at NoahClue. If you love animation, and I'm talking about the entire world, not just in the little island of Japan, because I like to talk about and watch everything under the sun that's animated. And I also have a YouTube channel that is Journey Traveler's last name. I have not produced content for it in quite a while. I do have one video that I promise I will film and put up as soon as I get the opportunity, because I didn't do this last year. Megan, I promise I will film a What I Got in 2017 video, but you have to promise to do the same thing.
Oh, that's right. I need to do a What I Bought in 2017. I didn't do it because I left the channel that I was on, so... And speaking of which, you still owe me something!
I didn't get to the post office yet. It's been snowing like cats and dogs out there.
I know,
That's not
joking.
the reason why.
I know
That's
it's
just
been...
my excuse.
You can find me on Twitter at Amonduul US, where I talk about music occasionally and retweet crap and usually complain about things no one else cares about or has heard of. You can also go to my very infrequently updated blog at worldthat'scoming.blogspot.com, and you can go there and watch tumbleweeds roll by. It's very amusing, I've been told. Would you guys like a dusty old song for this episode?
Yes.
Sure. All right. So as you've noted, if you've seen the show, Ruth is rocking the black and white striped shirt with the black jacket look. Looks very good on him. And that happened to remind me of the late great Alex Harvey of the sensational Alex Harvey band, who tended to wear more or less the same outfit a lot. So I recommend you all go to YouTube or Spotify, your preferred streaming site, and look up Faith Healer by the sensational Alex Harvey Band. It is a very good song. You will not regret it.
All right, I'm looking that up right now. I will not play the audio here because we don't want to get copyright stricken.
And yeah, and if you want to follow me, you can follow me at QueenEra2 on Twitter, where I shitpost. You can also hang out with me, Andrew, and Hardy over at the Funimation Discord, where we all are moderators. And generally, you can watch me posting pictures of my cat and kink-shaming Andrew. It's a fun activity. So with
Stop
that,
picking on the poor boy.
we are done.
He did nothing wrong.
Never!
Amon did nothing wrong. Andrew also did nothing wrong.
Debatable.
He is just as
Debatable.
innocent
No,
as
Andrew,
Cardophilus.
Andrew is a sin, a min-roll. Anyway, with that, everybody, let's go home. Let's go to bed, because at last we are here. Also, totally look up Here by JUNNA. It's one of the best anime songs ever made. Fight me. So with that, good night, everybody.
Aloha.
Okay, and remember, once again, believing is your magic. Good night.
Good night, all.
And as they say, otaku on, my friends.
Otaku on.
私